Welcome back, fans of esports here in the Big East Conference. My name's Superman, joined here by Doss on the call. And of course, we've got another League of Legends matchup for you. This time it's going to be St. John's on blue side taking on Butler. These two top of the bracket teams would love to secure their position here about halfway through our split in spring, as they love to have best seeding going into playoffs. So we're not quite at the playoff berth, but people really would like to stay at the top of the standings.
Yeah, when you're playing teams that are in similar standing positions as you, it is really important. Like you have the games against the top of the table teams which you are more favored to lose, and the teams against the bottom where you're more favored to win. The really impactful and high variance games are these ones here right in the middle, where you're playing a team that is the same record of you, or you're within one game of each other. That can really turn the tide of your seeding into playoffs, and we know how important seeding is. So everybody wants to get as high seeding as possible to make their playoff runs just that little bit easier.
Yep, it's a double round robin here in spring, so they'll have the chance to go head to head twice, and this will be their first chance to go against one another so far. And so with St. John's and Butler going head to head, they are both at a 500 record so far. They have one match win, one match loss. So whoever wins in this series today will be sitting pretty on top of the other for the second half of this spring split. We're just a few seconds away from the draft. And as we are preparing for that, Doss, I'm curious your thoughts about these two teams and seeing if they're going to shake things up like we saw in our earlier series today.
Yeah, they just might. We've seen some pretty crafty picks from basically every team in the league thus far. Every time we think somebody is going to play a much more traditional style, they bust out something strange, and almost always these like more crafty play styles have actually been winning. So
Yeah.
I am wanting to see more teams lean into that. It's almost like the traditional League of Legends that we know, the classic 5v5 style is almost falling out of favor, at least in this current meta.
Hmm.
So the weirder the drafts get, it seems like the better the teams play with them. You want to cause that chaos. You want to make it an atypical play style, an atypical game that other teams aren't used to. And it seems like a huge advantage thus far in basically every game we see it.
Yeah, there's a thin line between cheese and a new meta, right? It's just trying out new things that may counter the age old 5v5. And seems like you said to be working out for some of these teams to try that, to throw a wrench in their enemies' plans. As I'm a cutie pie once said, the prophet himself, if you don't even know what you're doing, then of course your enemies can't. So
Yep.
if you can throw that chaos into the mix, it can definitely give you an opportunity to steal wins away from teams that you may otherwise fall to. But I think this match today, this one between these two teams, Butler on red, St. John's on blue, I think it'll be a pretty close one, dog.
Yeah, I think so too. We do see an Ari locked in here. We've seen Ari as uh, kind of the power pick of the mid lane. I'll be
Yeah.
honest, most of these games we're watching aren't super mid lane centric, but Ari just seems to be so stable. I'm able to have a decent laning phase with the reworked heal that she gets, and then you can actually be pretty pretty impactful as a diving and then a peeling back style a mage or assassin hybrid into the mid to late game team fights. So I'm seeing Ari a lot in these games, and I think it does fit well just because nobody's really playing like a super play for mid style game. And
Yeah.
she's just such a good champion you can slot into realistically any team comp.
Yeah, and Hueco's definitely a great pilot for that champion. I think uh, your little word there of kiteful is actually maybe appropriate for this pick, right? Ari dashes through, lands the charms on key members, and I think it'll do great to see that again. Last time we saw Hueco playing Ari, that's exactly what happened. Wow, an early lock in a vein is curious to me. Before we talk about that, though, what stood out to me so far in the draft, Doss, are all of these enchanters banned away from Mojoromo. Mojoromo, master, grandmaster players of that support role, very, very good at these enchanters. So he pulls three bans away and a fourth pick, even.
Yeah, so you'd have to think Mojo Romo does have to pick an enchanter here if that's the route that they want to go. If they want to take an enchanter, basically this is your last chance to, because they're going to get two more banned if they don't take it here. So there's not too many left up on the board of the at least high tier enchanters. There's plenty that are still pretty good, but they actually just go for the Jinx. You'd have to think without an enchanter, Jinx is way less impactful. So I would have liked to see an Enchanter picked up first, but they may just say they don't really care about Enchanter, and then Mojo can play whatever he wants and still be impactful. So we'll see how that shapes out, but I'm expecting 2 more Enchanter bans here.
Yeah, I think that would be smart, especially Basham. He's a really good player. He's now flexed to his third role here in the Big East. Originally, he was an AD carry player here for St. John's. Then, of course, he went to the jungle role for a minute. And now, with them picking up Milq and, of course, some players graduating, he's been able to flex himself down to bottom lane. And I think he knows that enchanters are really hard to deal with if Mojoromo gets his pick. So, yeah, there's another enchanter ban, as you called it, Doss.
And Basham just proves why it's so important to focus on the fundamentals of League of Legends. If you can get a good sense of what's happening in every single game, you can pick realistically most champions and most roles and still be a high impact player. I think he's just in general a great League of Legends player, and that's what allows him to flex from position to position. So I do like to see how he's going to be buffing up this Vayne. There's a couple of tanky boys on the side of Butler with
Mm.
Hecarim and Sion, so Vayne will really melt through these. So I want to see an answer to the Vayne, whether it's a more diving style mid or somebody to complement Hecarim, because Hecarim can dive, but if he doesn't get the job done quick through Lulu's either polymorph or wild growth, then there's not much damage to follow up with, and that's when Vayne can get that Gwynsu's and start and ramping through your team.
Yes, the Guinsoo's, the additional move speed and an attack speed from Whimsy. The Lulu pairs really well with that. And you mentioned that front line, they will not actually be that squishy against Vayne. So they decide to lock in another. It's going to be Rel for Mojo Romo. I'm not sold on it. I'll make a case for it. I'd love to know your thoughts, Das. Condemn against Rel. Really strong spell. Rel then becomes dismounted and slowed under the weight of her own armor. Doesn't do a lot, even stacking armor itself against Vayne, which is normally Rel's claim to fame, stealing away those stats. Vayne's just going to burn through them with her own kit, those silver bolts. So I'm not really sold on that pick.
You're exactly right, and I completely agree with you. You see so many new champions that have these dashes that are unstoppable, like Hecarim or Malphite, and that's where the Condemn does nothing. Rel is not one of those champions. When you're using your dive in, she is fully able to be pushed back, stunned, CC'd, locked up, anything like that. And then when she does transform into that really slow, moving, armor stacking tank, armor stacking doesn't really matter to the Vayne. So as long as Vayne can play this correctly and time that Condemn onto Rel, Rel is basically self-stunning herself and is just going to get shredded. So I really like the draft here from St. John's. I think they totally are walking away confident with this draft. Obviously, it comes down to execution, but I think I'm going to have to go the draft side over to St. John's.
Yeah, I like St. John's composition as well. If it weren't for the Vayne pick, I would really like the whole pair the horses together, create some chaos in the fights because they're going to either slam everyone together or separate them out with Hecarim. A little bit of both coming through. Cyan can create the distance for Jinx and Gwen to do their thing. But think if Vayne gets her item breakpoints, what are you going to do? Right? You can't
Yeah.
actually get on her. The Lulu will keep her safe from people like Hecarim that may actually make it onto Vayne. So I guess we'll just have to see how Gold exchanges hands because if Vayne gets those items, I think it's doomed. I have to say Mojo Romo's a better player than I, so I trust his judgment. I don't see it. I'm blinded by my own ignorance, I suppose, and the way that I view this matchup, but perhaps Mojo Romo is prepared for something I am not seeing coming. So Marshall better watch his back. He's playing against one of the best supports in the Big East.
Yeah, and sometimes it's not even about draft. Sometimes it's about being the better player. Like Mojo Romo is obviously extremely talented support player. Getting to the Grandmaster ranks. I'm sure he's very confident on his rail pick, even after support was picked away and he drew 5 bans. So that's
Yeah.
6 effective champions pointed straight towards that support. So you'd have to think he's on his, what would we assume to be his tier 7 champion. I'm sure he's still going to play great, but the odds are stacked against him. So if he can make this happen, it may question the side of St. John's really throwing the whole draft at him. If this doesn't work, then like what are they to do next?
Mm.
But you did mention the reason this comp from St. John's works is because of Vayne. Like any other AD carry slotted in here, their comp totally loses, I think.
Yeah.
So it's the fact that you get that true damage of the tank shred from Vayne and uniquely Vayne that this comp gives the edge for me.
Looking pretty good. We got 90 more seconds of the spectator delay, so we'll take a short break. When we come back, it's game 1 of this best of 3. We're here on Summoner's Rift, Superman and DOS on the call. We're bringing you a best of 3 between St. John's on blue side and Butler University here on red. We're taking a look at this Vayne. Marshall, one of the newest members here in the Big East, piloting a champion that seems to be the win condition for blue team.
Yeah, one thing we did talk about, we see a quick flash engage here onto Lulu.
Yeah, I mean, flash was used, flash for flash, followed up. That's enough crowd control to mean first blood goes to Levi, and he's played Gwen before. Getting that extra gold in his pocket was really important for them to get this ball rolling and maybe play even through mid lane.
Yeah, that's really good. Flash for flash, but Mojo Romo does have the Hex Flash. He sets up that play perfectly. And Jake, one thing we were talking about while loading into this game off air for a little bit is the rune choice from Mojo Romo. You brought up, and brilliantly you did notice that Mojo Romo did in fact opt for a Glacial Augment and Hextech Flash angle. So what they really want to be doing is not using the traditional jump W where you're actually dismounting off of your horse and creating that impact. Rather, you're going to want to use the mount up W where it is not condemnable. You can Hex Flash in and flip them over your shoulder, causing the Glacial to go down. They're going to be slowed and over your shoulder. You can follow up with a stun, and Marshall doesn't have a cleanse to really get him out of that situation. So really intelligent notice from you on that, and great rune choice for Mojo if he follows that plan.
Yeah, and we also talked about these junglers. There's the Hex Flash again, gonna go for the quick knockup on to Basham. The slow isn't quite enough to create that distance. You saw Marshall was ready to put out the pain onto Carthago. That's how that bottom lane trade will go until Jinx gets a little bit more of that move speed to create that auto spacing. Right now it's pretty even. Nice trades in mid. Somehow the Scion is actually playing through. They swapped the lanes here to have Levi take on Tendo in top lane.
Yeah, and Voltade, I think, is going to be definitely focusing towards bottom lane with Mojo's combo we just saw. We saw exactly how the combo is going to work. There's not much damage from Jinx yet to really complement it, but Voltade, I believe, would have to be taking that pony down to meet the other horse on the rift to really complement that combo and be diving this bottom lane, or at least getting some early aggression in while Lulu is still flashless.
Yeah, speaking of getting off to the races, Voltade, known for playing Hecarim here in the Big East, normally draws a ban on that champion, but he was able to pick it up in the first round of this draft. And you can see he's doing that quick, very quick, full clear, and that will net him the levels necessary to start some ganks off. As you mentioned, he's going to play towards the bottom side. Mojoromo taking a little bit more poke than I think he would like, burning through some of those consumables.
Yep, he's still got one pot to go. He does have the minion dematerializers to kind of use his relic stacks from afar to keep the lane position exactly how you want. I love when players that truly understand wave states and pushing versus pulling of the waves take this rune to be able to manipulate the wave how they want it. As we see, but Opax does go down, gets solo killed by Hueco.
Yeah, that was just Opax not really respecting the damage from Ahri, and lands the charm into the full combo, electrocute into ignite. With that ignite spell, it burns down, gets that solo kill. That works out really well, and now both the mages on the map have a kill apiece.
Yeah, we did see a lane swap come out between Levi and Opax. I wonder what their thought process was with that. I do know Aatrox is a pretty tough lane for Sion, just because you can really never get that Q fully charged before Sion is able to interrupt you with the sweet spot knockups that he does have. So I wonder if that's their thought process in the lane swap. But I can't say Ahri sounds any more fun to play against as Sion.
Yeah, I think I just know that Sion's going to have a rough matchup no matter who he plays against. Maybe giving just that better matchup for Levi to potentially have kill threat against Tendo if he can play it right. He sent him back already, and now he's getting ganked. Voltade with that ghost knockback. Tendo is going to hold on to his own flash, knowing that he is absolutely dead to rise. Kill credit goes to Levi. Works out well for him. That's his second of the game. Now he's got 2 stacks on his Dark Seal.
That's great, especially for the early Dark Seal. He's getting that stacked up nice and quickly. They did burn 2 Ghosts for that, but Ghost is one of the lowest cooldown summoner spells in the game, so they're not too worried about that. They may just take this time to mind their aggression and wait for that summoner spell to come up to continue to make more plays for Voltade. He is nearing level 6, though, and that is when Hecarim can really start to dive the way we know he does and really get the more impactful ganks.
Yep, nice charm does actually land there with Kayn ganking too. Doesn't quite have form to be able to land any sort of knock-up or slow just yet. Voltade in the wings too, ready to actually go in. Does put a little bit of damage down onto Kayn, but really just donates a little bit of essence. There's knock-up over the wall. Sion still doing his best to keep those farm numbers up. Just falling down behind about a couple waves so far.
Yeah, it's not too bad, all things considered. Sion into Ahri. You would think that wave would be going worse than it is. So it's not the end of the world just yet, but I definitely think Hueco is liking the current state of the lane.
Yep, working out well for them. In the bot lane, though, wave state is not working out well. So you can see there's 23 CS difference. A lot of it is pushing in right here, so that won't be quite as big of a deficit in just a few seconds' time. But Butler is definitely having a better go at it here in the bottom lane with Carthago and Mojoromo pushing in. They've got so much defensive vision up and down that river as well.
Yeah, Mojoromo, you see him standing off to the side, playing with vision, threatening the potential flash mount up engage that he can threaten. We saw Voltade does not hit 6 yet, but they decide to go for the dragon anyway, so he is down a little bit of combat power without his ultimate as Ahri goes in.
Yeah, uses the ignite again to great success. They're not able to steal the Drake, but Hueco has that extra Spirit Rush available. Charm still on cooldown. Decides to go for additional damage onto Carthago and does force the flash out. That's super important, but you can see Hueco, this is why they early picked this champion for him. 2-0 so far, and there comes the unstoppable onslaught. That's going to land directly there onto Marshall, forcing a little bit more of a distance to come through. Ahri can't dash over the wall. They're having a little bit of a trade. Carthago wants to get back in the mix. They're now clipped into the river. Hueco over the wall, landing some good skill shots, but now he's in the wrong spot. Nice knock up there from Mojoromo means they'll give a shutdown over to the Jinx, who gets excited, wants to go deeper. Voltaire knocks Bash him into the wall, trying to heal up, not to actually give a kill back over to Marshall. Might be picking off a little more than he could chew. He's playing this aggressively because he has Flash. Wants to create that space, does in fact do it. And you can see not enough mana, not level 6 for Jinx to finish off those kills. Well, there's action top lane. Levi gets down to 250 health. Nice dodge on that play, but it's going to be the ultimate is enough. 450 gold. Shutdown goes to Milky.
Yeah, I'm not really sure how Hueco still ended up on the side of the wall. I'm not sure if he opted to not take the blast plant over that was there for him, or if there's some sort of misclick, or even a play on the side of Butler that was able to stop that from happening. It did cost him his life though, and I'm not sure if that was a shutdown just yet. He was 2-0 and up a decent bit of farm, so there could have been a small shutdown, though I'm not 100% sure. That could have gone a lot worse, but it ends up still being 3-3. The gold is really even here, so not too much harm done just yet. But I'm not so sure any team is really liking the way that played out, judging how it could have gone for either team.
Yeah, I believe it was a super intelligent play by Carthago to put down the Flame Chompers that interrupted the Blast Plant's mobility. So it actually kept Hueco on that side of the wall, and he chose to hold his Flash instead of committing it there and ended up paying for it with his life. You can see Opax taking another charm into multiple spells of damage, but he's got backup in the wings. Does seem that Hueco actually tries to commit, and the gank will not work out for him. But now they've got 4 members near this Herald. They're going to try and go for it at the 9-minute mark.
Yeah, that was a good catch on the Flame Chompers that I did not see, but it looks like Butler is just donated this Herald over. They don't want to focus it too much. You do see that Mojoromo had a great roam up towards that to make sure if there was a fight that they would be outmatched, so it's a fight they can't take. They're going to try and answer with a dive bot lane, though.
Yeah, but you can see Carthago's just alone. They had committed the support up to that Herald, and it'll just be the cleanest dive you've ever done see. It's going to be Milky getting the kill credit for that. He's stacking up his essence, too. That's working out really well for him. He's now got a bounty on his head. Hueco gets knocked up, returning to lane. But while this is happening, Voltaire is stealing away a lot of camps on the top side of the map, and maybe even looking for a dive onto Tendo, who's full HP.
Yeah, we'll see if they can make a dive on Tendo happen. If they can trade ADC for top laner plus...
Oh!
Carthago with the snipe. That's perfect to help them stabilize this. It makes it a much better trade to get the Herald and go 1-for-1 than just go 0-for-1.
Yeah, the 3 versus 1 dive worked out well to kill the Carthago. He ends up gaining his own kill back with that long-range snipe, and now there's a 3v1 top lane as Tendo is going to be in trouble. Herald hits there. He's going to take up the turret for a minute, and they knock it up, but a 3-man knockup of his own works out for a half a second. Without Gore Drinker completed, there's no way to heal back up. He almost turns around to kill, but it will be Tendo losing his life. Maybe the flash might have made the difference, but honestly, he played that just about as well as he could have.
Yeah, he did play that well, but it's still a 3v1 at the end of the day. Great juggling of that tower aggro from Butler. I really liked how Voltoid take the aggro right at the beginning, use that devastating charge to go through Tendo to then reset the aggro, drop it there, and then use Onslaught of Shadows to get back in to apply the CC and finish the job.
Worked out well. They net themselves that kill, and now it's 4-5 in kill score, dead even in gold across the map. But nobody's taken a turret even as we crest the 11-minute mark. Still plenty of plates to go for both of these teams. Very close in gold. You can see it's a tale of 2 junglers. Voltaire's got the kills and a lot of that farm, but Milkyu's been making his rounds on the map as well.
He has. Milky is silently getting to the point where Kayn can really 1v9 games. He is going for the Manamune build, which is technically a slower starting power curve, but he has all the power right now, so he's liking the start that he's gotten. He did pick up the Gore Drinker, so I'm curious to see if he does go for blue or red Kayn. Both are kind of an option. You typically see blue Kayn with the tier, but he does have Conquer, which leans towards red Kayn, so we'll see what he picks up. I'm sure both are probably fine this game.
Yep. These 2 teams are positioning around this Mountain Drake. You can see Teleporter is available for Tendo, but he opts to walk down, clearing mid lane on his way. Great choice by him. They're going to try and get set up for this Drake. It's a full 5v5 unfolding here as Tendo actually might be getting pinched on the side. Opax has that ultimate available. Decides to channel it going deep. Hueco's available, dashes out of the way. Milq dashed over the wall. Nice dodge out there. Ignite onto Voltage, so he's down to 50% HP to start this fight off. Milq goes in to put a little bit of extra damage, and the flash forward from Mojiromo. This is why he chose that pick. They go a little bit deeper, kiting backwards. The first one to fall is going to be Voltage, who started out at half HP. Levi not able to get the kill onto Basham. They turn this fight on its head. Even though Mojiromo started it, he's going to be the one to fall. And then that's 4, 5, maybe even the last member. Opax alone, no way out of this. As he flashed away, he will be the final casualty. It's 5-0, St. John's victory.
And that was a great engage for Mojiromo, but St. John's just turned that fight on its head. They really get Marshall to get the lethal tempo all stacked up, so you do have that extra range on your primary carry in Vayne, and they're loving that. They just got 2 kills for Vayne to help her get into the later stages where you can continue to play the fights just like that and take down all of the takes for Butler. So despite the great engage for Mojiromo, they turned the fight, and it was a clean 5 for 1, 5 for nothing. So that was perfect for them. They get the dragon to boot.
Yeah, super tough to not actually get the kills off of that great engage. What I saw was that Hueco, honestly, MVP of that fight in my mind. He was able to land that early charm while the Drake was untouched onto Voltage, which got Voltage down to half HP and made him very hesitant to click that go button. Never actually used Onslaught of Shadows in that fight. You can imagine how that could have been beautifully paired with the engage from Mojiromo, using that Ferromancy and the magnetic ability to scoop everyone up. If that was followed up by the other horse, you can imagine it would have been really strong. With that, it looks like Mojiromo himself might be in some trouble too. No flash available. Hops over the wall, followed with the flash from Milq. Might be biting off a little bit more than he could chew. There's the Onslaught of Shadows to create a little bit of space. Mojiromo's totally fine, gets an extra stun. He's trying to buy enough time for his team to get the shutdown onto this 800 gold value. That is that jungler, but he actually is able to get enough HP back with that Gore Drinker. 4-0-4, enemy jungler not found. There's even this damage happening top lane as Milq gets a knock up onto Carthago. Carthago, no flash available, trying to create his extra space. Will he be able to do it? Ult there onto Carthago, shut down. Milq able to get that extra kill. Knock up again, 1, 2 more autos might do it. He gives his life. That's 800 gold donated to Gwen. Levi may be the only remaining hope here on the side of Butler.
How strong is Milq in that fight? He just kept going. He did not care about the tower at all. He kept going, kept getting all these kills, and he did choose to go that red cane, and that was a brilliant choice, as we saw instantly displayed in that fight. Just how tanky he is, how much he's healing up. We want to continue to see that from Milq as we see this game state start to tick into a 3,000 gold lead. So we do see Levi going mid here. No ignite for Basham, so he probably doesn't have too much kill threat on him.
Nope. He's going to try, though. It gets real close. Bullies him out. We'll probably tank that wave to buy time for Ari to make it there. Hueco would love to pick up that extra CS. It really is a mid-jungle diff right now. You can see Milq and Hueco have done such a good job for their team playing through these fights, extending them, too. You know, with the changes to give extra Spirit Wretch charges to Ari, she can continue the fights as long as she can stay in it. And then, of course, Milq dashing through over and under walls, and it works out well for him, get him those 5 kills. Levi would love to get an extra kill for his team, trying to make up the difference in mid. Tendo gets closer and closer to the wall. No flash available. Kill credit goes to Opax, as he would love to finish that hole breaker and try and split push on his own.
Yeah, Tendo does trade his life for the tower. I don't think he's too upset about that, as they do get pressure mid. Hueco may knock this tower down. They could go a 2 for 2 towers for 1 death, which would be perfect for them. I do want to talk about Hueco's item choice here. He did choose to go the Liandry's into this beefy team comp, and I love that adaptation from him. So he knows he's not going to be really bursting the likes of Voltage's Hecarim and Opax's Scion. So he's opting to go with more of a burn and percent health damage as we fight top. I'm not sure this is a fight they want to take, though.
No, definitely not, and Red Kane's going to do a great job taking down a tank like Opax. They're going to engage bottom lane. You can see Jinx putting out the pain. We'll definitely get a reset soon if she can land that Super Mega Death Rocket. Marshall trying to create that extra body block space in front, but now they've brought Levi. Might have waited too long to kill Marshall. Yeah, it's a 1-for-1 on 80 carries. Basham, of course, will be that second casualty, but I think Levi maybe tunneled a little bit too far instead of helping his 80 carry.
Yeah, you really want to make sure you're covering your teammates first before you go for the greedy kills on the support. It works out. It's not the worst in the end of the day. It's 1 for 2, but it could have been a clean 2 for 0, I do believe. But once again, you see a great Magnet Storm for Mojo Romo as he gets that engage off cleanly again. I think we're going to continue to see this from him. I'm not worried about his engages. I'm just worried about how impactful even a good engage will be as the later portions of these games do start to arrive. You can see Marshall is starting to trade 1-for-1, and it's only going to get worse.
Yeah, a shield bow gives that extra survivability as well, going for the Rage Blade next, which will make sure that he can melt through any members that he's actually dueling. And that's what you're trying to do, is create a team fight rather than multiple duels. But there's so much space that can be created by the knockups coming through from Milq and Tendo, and of course the plays by Hueco to create that extra space. Nice knockup from Milq. Just a little bit of extra damage on Voltaire. They're fighting over the dragon that's spawning in 4 seconds. Going deep. The first one to start that fight is Milq. He takes down that Hecarim. It's enough, and he flashes over the wall. He gets shut down. Not quite enough. Jinx actually finds some space to be able to free hit onto Tendo. Will they reset? Yes, Jinx gets excited. That's a double kill. Going to land the zap, and are they actually safe? Hueco not able to dodge away. That's a triple kill for Jinx as she's putting out the pain with the lethal tempo. 1 heal available in just a couple seconds to be able to continue that chase. No, they'll just stop, not wanting to go a little bit too far. Over the wall is going to be a knock-up channeled. Levi lands that. It goes deep. There's going to be that Ferromancy again. Mojoromo finding every knock-up he needs. Locks him down to a double kill for Levi. Maybe it's a mid-jungle diff on blue side, but for red, Levi and Carthago have brought it back to dead even on Summoner's Rift. DOS, they get a second Drake for themselves, and not just any Drake, it's that Hex Tech Drake that works out beautifully for the exact kind of damage, the style of play for Levi and Carthago on Jinx and Gwen.
Yeah, what a beautifully fought team fight by Carthago. He played the range of Jinx perfectly, was just lacing rockets that entire time, was able to stand on the backside of Blue Pit. They do disengage mid here, so it looks like nothing's really going to happen there. I'm going to want to see some early armor penetration from Jinx, though, to be able to cut through this super tanky Kayn, who doesn't really have any armor yet, but if you do go the side of Red Kayn, you get a lot of base armor stats mixed with the health stacking that you do get on that champion means you're much tankier than you would be given those items on basically any other champion. So he does have the Kraken Slayer to give you a bit of true damage and the Runans to really spread that damage around with all the melee divers that they do have. So I'm liking the build so far. I'm wanting to see both Infinity Edge for the extra damage and some armor penetration for Jinx. But aside from that, really great fight from Carthago. And if he can continue to play those fights like that, I think that's going to be really great, because we all know how strong of a carry Jinx can be. And they can go toe-to-toe with the Vayne. Maybe not 1v1, but in a 5v5, if you're going front to back and you have a fed Jinx and a fed Vayne, you know, it's kind of sixes. Both have the option to really take over a team fight. So whatever one does that first and has the backup of their team is going to be winning out on these fights.
Yeah, but if we take a look at the difference in gold between these two AD carries, I mean, you can see already from the inventory, it's 2 completed items from Jinx, and she's got an extra almost 2,000 gold over her counterpart of Vayne. For at least the time being, that's going to make a huge difference in these team fights. The difference also of Gwen over her counterpart of Ahri. Hueco's landing every skill shot, but doesn't have quite the gold to make the difference. And I do now see, as we swap back to the items, thank you, Observer, Hueco completed actually, invested the gold into an actual Magi's.
Yeah, he's got the empty book. That is a huge waste of money and stats that he could otherwise have. He had a great early game, so I think he stacked up that Dark Seal quite early, but hasn't really been able to keep that same level and turn those ring stacks into pages of the Magi. So he's maybe regretting that early purchase, as now that did kind of trough his mid game where he did have a huge gold lead over Levi. Levi has now really picked that up and is silently doing a lot of damage in these fights, and he is not one of those carries that needs to pick up penetration items, because your champion just does true damage. So
yep, Levi, you can see bullying out the enemy jungler. Milq has to leave the river. 2 more minutes before the next Drake. It's not quite sold for either of these teams just yet. You can see it's kind of that mid-game lull where it's difficult to siege these turrets without committing multiple members, and honestly, neither of these teams are really great at sieging anyway, so I'm not quite sure what the best possible play would be unless either one of these teams decides they really want to be risky and set up around Baron.
Yeah, I'm not so sure either team can go for Baron just yet without forcing a fight, and maybe that's just what they want. Both teams can take the Baron very quickly, but both teams also probably want to force a fight. So I'm actually really liking the way that this game is probably going to fold out. Is both teams have a fairly similar style of game plan that they do want to go for, and I think it's going to give us lots of action around basically every single dragon and every single baron that spawns, because there's not going to be much of a tower dance, because I mean, nobody really has that sieging tools that you need to be able to, you know, capitalize off a mistake during those dances and take the tower or dive. It's just going to be focused around these objectives.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with the analysis there. Looks like they might actually be looking for something mid as Voltade uses the Ghost, decides to back away with that devastating charge. Doesn't actually want to get charmed into additional damage. They're just trying to create that extra space through mid lane to secure vision in this river, as we're now under a minute before this Drake spawns. And again, this is Hex Tech, which each of those are very, very powerful stacking buffs as you collect them each individually. And of course, if you can get the soul, it's even that much stronger to have that chain lightning coming through on autos. Carthago and Levi love to have this additional attack speed. And we're getting set up here. Voltade with that charge is going to go in. Onslaught of Shadows onto 2. They found their mark up front. You can see Carthago free hitting on the side. First one to go down is going to be that Lulu. They don't have Vayne anywhere near the fight. It's just going to be a double kill for Jinx. Great engage to have that wherewithal to know that Vayne was nowhere nearby, clearing out the wave bottom lane. And now they have the go-ahead with 4 members dead to go for that Baron. It's just exploded out, ripped open out that opportunity for themselves. That means Butler will be looking to get Baron.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Vayne stepped across a ward or something there, but they knew exactly where she was and pressed the go button instantly. Great engage from Voltade and Opax to be able to both yell really loudly and run into the backline as they wipe them out. Once again, Carthago untouched in that fight. Uses the rockets to grant that extra range and the Runans to be able to spread it across the whole entire fight and just pump autos into the back and front line. Once again, completely out of harm's way. Did pick up the early armor penetration. They're actually going to probably walk down here. Gwen picked up the dragon on the backside there too. So we get dragon, baron, and a 1 team fight. This is really blowing open for Butler here. I'm starting to get a little bit nervous for Marshall's ability to carry against the gold lead of Butler.
Yeah, this is the key moments of the game from here on out. While Baron buff is being worn by all 5 members of Red Team, Butler, they're going to have to get a lot for this, because in all honesty, they've only got a 3,000 gold lead off of this last play. An entirely wiped team fight, dragon plus a Baron to only net themselves a 3,000 gold lead is not actually that much at 25 minutes. It's a fair bit, and especially it's on the right exact members, right? Your AD carry and your mid lane carry. But unless you can turn that into map objectives more, perhaps the next soul in 4 minutes, they won't have Baron for that, but they need to make sure that they invest properly into these map plays.
I think you hit the nail on the head right there. It's not so much that they only have a 3,000 gold lead, it's who they have it on. Like, Milq is not able to do much in these fights anymore. You want that gold on Vayne, and you also need Vayne in the fight, but it looks like we're going to catch Levi out here. We'll see if they can take him down.
Yeah, Gwen is immune within that circle, so you know that Marshall has to get a little bit closer while that is active, but it'll be enough. And they donate the shutdown. That's huge. 700 gold onto Marshall. We've been talking about Marshall needs that additional gold, the items to be able to play through, not just for survivability, but put out the damage necessary to chew through these tanks. And now getting the gold for it, but because they committed multiple members to that bottom lane and they're only now recalling to defend the base, you see they've lost a turret. A nice Waco on the wing. They're able to get a pick onto Carthago, who wasn't prepared for it, didn't flash away. Nice fear into the knockup. Onslaught of Shadows worked out well. They'll donate the Scion over just to buy enough time to get out with their remaining members. But essentially, they traded 3 lives for an inhibitor turret. It's not a great trade, but at least they broke the base.
Yeah, that was a great flame from Quaco there to catch Carthago's Jinx out and really do burst her before she's able to flash and get out of harm's way. Lands the charm perfectly. They do get the inhibitor tower down, so that is wide open, so you don't need to worry about sieging, and that's a bigger deal on these team comps than it is in most, just because, as we touched on earlier, neither team really has the tools to siege. So without that up, you can kind of just walk into that inhib and take it down, because there's no tower there anymore. There's not much to siege, nothing to really defend them or give them that edge that they want in these fights. Marshall does take this blue buff and decide to walk out and take the Rift Scuttle on the way. So we'll see as this game starts to go back in the side of the blue team here. We've got Milku, who is stacking up all these healing items. There's plenty of heal cut for Butler though, so it is kind of waning on the ability of this build to really be its full potential.
Yeah, it's a little tough because Milku can always answer Opax on the side lane. He is the jungler, so you have to make sure you're smart about when you commit that resource on the map. But Opax really doesn't get to split anymore. We already saw it earlier in the game where Milku just soloed Opax on a side lane just because it was super free to do that. With Soul in a minute and a half available to Butler, they may not be able to actually make that kind of commitment, but you can see they're trying to control the vision around this upcoming dragon anyway. I think it's kind of tough. The win condition here for Butler is team fighting, but that makes Sion a little less valuable. And if they don't actually win the fights, then they get nothing else anywhere on the map.
Yeah, I would have almost liked to see Opax kind of not go the Hullbreaker build, just because he doesn't really have an option to split push all that effectively this game, and it's very clear what they want to do with this team fighting group up and death ball comp. So I'm not a huge fan of that item, though it still does have not too bad stats even when you're team fighting. It's not make or break to the game, but it's a small adaptation I would have liked to see changed.
Yeah, Charm goes wide as Hueco tries to engage on the team. That was a great opportunity for them to try that and take a few members off the map before this Baron actually does. Then a nice knock up into the Charm. Levi down to 400 HP. Does get taken down by Marshall. They're going to commit those ultimates diving forward. Nice knock up from the Lulu to make sure that that's a double kill for Marshall. A triple kill for the Vayne. Late game, Vayne was found her mark. Voltade will fall as well. It's a quasi ace. No, an entire ace in favor of St. John's.
Yeah, and St. John's finds the perfect pick on Levi there. He was not in that fight, got basically no damage down at all. I think he threw one proc of the needlework out, maybe hit somebody, maybe didn't. So he is basically all but non-existent in that fight, which really let Marshall take that fight over. There was no Onslaught of Shadows in, so there wasn't a dive to be able to threaten Vayne, so she got a free hit, and Vayne free hitting with 3 attack speed items and that 3-hit true damage passive she does have. The Blighted Stacks really will just cut through anybody that she comes across.
Yeah, worked out really well for them. The Dragon is their additional prize on top of 2 turrets through that mid lane. They've mirrored the map to be able to open up that mid lane, have that exposed inhibitor available. If either team is able to win another team fight, they're surely able to have super minions spawning at the very least. We're cresting 30 minutes, some of the longest action we've seen in the Big East so far this spring, and I really do have to give props to Hueco. Not only did 2 fights ago he find the perfect flank onto Carthago and take him out of the fight, but he landed that perfect charm from the knockup that Milku set up for him to be able to start that last fight off. And both these teams, their compositions, if they find one member out of position and they take them out, they just roll through the rest of the fight shortly thereafter. Jinx gets excited, Vayne can chase you forward with her final hour passive. That works out really well for them, and now these 2 teams are going to continue to fight over Baron to see who can actually close out the game, because I still feel like this game, DOS, is on a razor's edge.
It is. We keep thinking one team's going to pull away and the other team comes back with a very convincing fight. You would think the fights are closer than they are, just given how close the game is, but it seems like fights are very one-sided, but it just keeps flipping which team is the victor of the fights. So I want to see a nice close fight where a couple members take each other out, but it looks like we just keep getting the 5-for-nothings, then it alternates, the other team gets it. But Sion is finally making use of that Hullbreaker, knocks down the tier 2, that's a bonus 600 gold in his pocket, another 100 in the rest of everybody else's pockets, so we are starting to see him take over this 1v1, but Tendo, I mean, he doesn't really have an answer for Sion just yet, but I do think that they want to get Sion out of the team fights and force the 4v4.
Yeah, really smart, intelligent play from Opax here to push in this wave as soon as he saw that Milky was top lane. He knows that the Aatrox can absolutely not take him down alone, and so he shoves that in. I really am wary of his ability to maintain a decent mana pool because he has that teleport. He knows that he's going to need to, at a moment's notice, show up to a Baron fight, but looks like he'll back up, maybe even go for a recall to spend the gold he just got from that tier 2 and also refresh his resources. It looks like that'll be the go-ahead. No denial of vision in the pit, so this should be in full knowledge of Butler that they started up this Baron. Now that control ward goes down, but they know what's going on. They're going to have to go a little bit closer to this pit. Butler clearing out their own camps, trying to deny that vision, and Baron's been reset, but Voltaire taking a lot of damage. Remember, every time that Voltaire has been chunked out before a fight, the fight has not gone Butler's way. It's been so hard for them to commit that onslaught of shadows without just donating kill and getting those resets to come through. They're going to go back onto that Baron. It's huge for them to start it up, knowing that the recalls from multiple members went through, down to 7,000, 5,000 now. They're burning through this purple worm in the denial of vision. It's going to be Baron picked up, and they even get the pickup there onto Levi over the wall. That will be huge for St. John's to set up a possible game-ending push. Opax, the bottom lane, continuing to make his side lane play. Clearing out these minions is Carthago and company as they want to defend, but have no turret to back them up, and they're down multiple defensive means to continue to hold their base. So it'll be this inhibitor going down. There is a cannon wave if they really want to get aggressive. It looks like they do have the confidence to continue to push forward. They've got that cannon minion onto this first Nexus turret. 1, 2, 3, 4 autos from the Vayne onto that turret. They take it down already so quickly, as you can see Milky trying to create chaos in the back end to bring him into the fountain, knock him up. Will he be the first to fall? Nice knock up from Voltaire onto multiple members. Things are turning around. Double kill from the Scion, but it's really that Carthago is getting excited. Look at that range from Jinx. It's 1, it's 2. They shut down and completely destroy the members. Teleporting back. Opax, maybe he's got a wave behind him as well, as they're going to teleport to save additional minions. Opax using that hole breaker to destroy this turret. Will they be able to end the game in the next 30 seconds? I think there's absolutely a possibility for it.
Yeah, I think they will. The rest of the team is marching down mid. They might have just taken a fight they couldn't have and lost the game in the enemy base. You thought this game was done and dusted after that Baron fight. But it looks like Butler's just going to take the game right here, 1-0.
They had that key 20 seconds with 2 teleports available, brought it into the enemy base, and they steal away the Nexus. What a team fight to defend their base and turn it into a victory for themselves.
Wow, what a flip-flopping game, and they won with the kill deficit there, even down 2 kills at the end of the game. They ended up coming out with the victory. What a crazy game. It just kept going from one side to the other, and that same theory that I was, or rather the same thought process of the fights kept reigning true, where the game was really even, but every single fight wasn't. Like, it was a wash on one side or the other every single time. So it was almost like whoever got that first kill got all the other 5 without losing their team, and then the other team would do it. So maybe they just got the right one in their base, teleported in, and ended the game swiftly.
Yeah, I mean, if they didn't have those teleports, you can imagine the game would not have been over there. It was a great defense from Butler, but how could they turn that into more on the map? The Baron was already taken. The Dragon had already been taken. There was not much more for them on the map except for exactly the Nexus, and they had the teleports to do it. Somehow Butler steals away the win there on their back foot. St. John's really showing up today, giving a serious run for money here against Butler. There were multiple times, as you mentioned, Das, that we felt like St. John's may have taken that game and closed it out. But Butler takes that win. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we'll see if St. John's can do what they did in game 1 and really make a play for a second game. Welcome back, esports fans, to the Big East Conference. My name is Superman. I'm joined here by Doss, and we're on the call for now. Game 2 coming your way between Butler University and St. John's University. St. John's really looked like they were going to take Game 1, Doss, and it was a crazy turn of events within Butler's own base that ended up turning it all on its head. 2 teleports into the enemy base and taking the Nexus in favor of Butler. That was a wild way to end Game 1.
Superman, that game was a banger. I hope we get another one and another one of that. I really want a 3-game series of these exact styles of games. So back and forth, so entertaining. All gas, no brakes, constantly fighting, and they're just playing that classic tug of war where you go from one base to the other, and then the final breakthrough in the base with the teleport answers to just run down and end the game. I cannot believe how fun that game was. I can't wait to get into this game too. I really hope that both teams do focus those same team fighting style picks that we had in draft from last game. I would like to see the adaptation of maybe dropping the Scion, knowing how impactful those team fights were, and picking up, just trying to amplify that. It's very clear both teams want to play that style. So take your Malphites, take your Malzahars, those team fighting classic pick champions that we like to see, and really implement them to the drafts if possible, because we have a very clear game plan. So you want to pick the champions that match around it.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that game one for the reasons you just described, Dawson. I'd like to see more of the same with that team fighting composition for both these teams. I mean, before we get to see if these two teams are going to put the pedal to the metal, we're going to take a short pit stop onto the draft to see what they actually give themselves in their toolbox. I don't know if it'll be this tale of 280 carries, Marshall versus Carthago, super sane moments like we saw in game one, where it was one of those 280 carries getting a multi-kill every single fight, it seemed. It remains to be seen. But also, again, I have to. I mean, I feel like I'm playing favorites, but really Hueco on the side of St. John's, he was 90% from my perspective the reason why St. John's was in it for so long. They found exactly the angles, the flanks onto the back line, every RE charm that mattered, and they picked that champion early. So I always love to see that in the draft, Doss, that where we get those priority early picks that may even be blind into a matchup, that they are picked for a reason, that the player piloting that champion plays it to dang near perfection, right? And that's important. And I saw Hueco do it last game. I look forward to seeing perhaps more of the same here in game 2.
Yeah, well said. You said that perfectly. Just as every team fight win that Butler did pull out, Hueco was there for the next one to get a pick. He was stabilizing the game, cauterizing the bleeding that Butler was impacting onto St. John's. And if it wasn't for those vital picks he got, 3 times in a row,
Yeah.
then that game could have been over long before the final fight in the base. So huge props to Hueco. We'll see if he gets that Ari again once we do get into this draft. I would like to see Butler ban it out from him. He seemed really comfortable on the pick. He had a great early game, a couple of misplays in the early stages of the mid game where he dropped all his stacks, but just like that, he built them all back. I think he ended the game with 22 some odd stacks on his Medjais. So his early
Yeah.
game and his later game picks were fantastic. So we'll see if he gets the champion again or if he has to be put onto something else.
Love to see that kind of confidence too. We raised our eyebrows a little bit when he bought the Magi's, and it immediately was an empty book. But like you said, it turned out really well for him in the end. So we're just a few minutes away from, of course, the draft where we get to see those picks to come through, and we'll see if the Ari is that high priority or if it really is going to be the Jinx first. Blue side first pick, it could be pretty important as well. Mojo Romo pulled 5 enchanter bans plus an early pick away from him that you saw. Basham had to pull away the Ari, and of course, like I mentioned, the 5 enchanter bans away from Mojo Romo. So will we see more of the same again? Mojo still found an angle to play that rel. I said in Champions Select, I don't really know what to expect. I feel like it's a terrible pick into Vayne, but somehow Mojo Romo with the Hex Flash technology worked out really well for him. He was able to find those engages. So kind of crazy there.
Oh, so yeah, so when we were first speculating this team comp from Mojo Romo and how he wants to play these fights, I mean, we did say it's not always about the compositions and what we think in a pure analytic form of these matchups play out to be. Sometimes it's all about execution. And if you're a fantastic player like Mojo Romo is, you find those angles and you let your champion work to the best of the ability that it can in those games. He was very high impact. It may not have been a complete stomp on his side like a lot of games really are where he is super impactful. But he did his job and he did it well while drawing 4 or 5 bans and a pick. So, like, what more could you ask for from the side of Mojo Romo? Draws 5 picks or bans, and then still does a great job on his, his 6 tier. His 6 tier champion. So we do get into champ select here. We'll see if they do go for the same enchanter ban strategy they did. Because when Mojo Romo gets an enchanter, he makes Carthago look like a god, and Carthago is a great player. But when you have somebody like Mojo Romer on your back, you just go up another level, right? So we'll see if that same banning strategy comes out.
Yeah, it's great to have those kind of enchanter supports. That's one taking away the Lux. They don't want that Caitlyn Lux combo down there. Karma taken away. They know that that can be annoying poke in the bottom lane as well. It's worth noting, Doss, that Basham is back on his main role, the 80 carry position, as Marshall has been subbed out and Nabil coming in to play that support role. Now you can see there's one more ban for each of these teams. I expect to see more enchanters taken away on red side away from Mojoromo. And first pick is available. I would say Jinx is on the table for Carthago again.
Yeah, you might as well just take Jinx here, and I'd like to see them pick a enchanter before the next set of bans do come in. You'd have to think that red side here does take Lulu, just like they did last time, to those 4 power enchanters out of the game. I don't think you would ban Lux, Karma, Yumi, and then just leave Lulu up for grabs to pair with the
Right.
Jinx here. So we'll see. It would be interesting
Whoa.
to see Volibear. I did not expect Volibear. Not a huge fan of that, as it doesn't seem to be a priority pick. But maybe they just want to get it out of the way, and we'll see what it does. I expect Jinx Lulu here for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I always love a pocket pick to come through as something that can throw that chaos, as we discussed earlier in the stream today, Doss. But it really does gift over Jinx Lulu. And I don't know if Basham's out of practice on 80 carry, but I do know him to be arguably top 3, top 2 80 carries in the league when he was playing that role primarily. So giving him Jinx, one of these powerhouse 80 carry picks in the current meta, pairing it with a Lulu, that's terrifying to say the least.
It really is. It's answered here with Lucian Nami, who does have that really aggressive and powerful laning phase. But if you don't punish Jinx, Lulu, and punish them hard early, they're just gonna get outscaled. And it's not like the days of old where you need 6 items on a Jinx. You need like 2 items and you're already stronger than the Lucian. So you have to beat him up, and you have to beat him up quickly before you quickly get outscaled in the early skirmishes. So I want to see what the jungler pick is here. You'd have to think they're trying to aim to stomp Basham. They do know Basham has been an 80 carry main in the past, but technically as of right now, he is considered autofill just because he's not on his primary position now. But we've mentioned time and time again, specifically of Basham, he's just a great League of Legends player. He knows the ins and outs of lots of different roles. So I'm not too worried about him, but we'll see what the draft inflects to really see if they're going to try and push on that bottom lane. Maybe even go towards Nabil as the new sub in this game. He did not play last game, so we'll see what he picks too.
Yeah, Hueco gets one of his best champions too, the Victor, that he'll slowly but surely scale, as you mentioned. Alongside that Jinx, that'll work out well for them. Now they just need that beefy front line and maybe some side lane picks, which means great ban there by Butler to take away both Set and Malphite, these go button champions. There's a go button champion we haven't seen in a while, just to hover on the Rammus. I don't expect that to be locked in. It can be decent into the Lucian Volibear for sure, but they're going to swap it to Sion at the last second. I appreciate that choice. Sion very strong in the meta. I want to take a moment though, Doss. They did get that Lucianami. You talked about it for a second there, but really, Carthago and Mojoromo. Mojoromo now gets an enchanter, and not just any enchanter, a very aggressive one. And Lucian, I think, is the best 80 carry to pair with Nami in the bottom lane, and they'll have every opportunity, I believe, to get an early advantage over Jinx and Lulu.
Yeah, that is definitely true. There probably isn't a more powerful like level 2 through 5 champion duo as Lucian Nami, so they really are going all in on smashing this game early. But you do see Syndra here picked up to answer the Victor. This is a classic, like, mage backline style mid lane, one we're used to from the old days of League, and we're really starting to kind of gravitate towards that more. Less of the assassins, more of the mages. I think Victor will probably get a pretty early crown to negate the the gameplay button from Syndra, that unleashed power where she throws her ultimate at you and will 100% zero you. We do see Milky picking up the Karthus here, so I want to see if he's going to go towards the money making strategy that we saw earlier in our last series, or if he's going to go for the Dark Harvest to really get some kills and maybe even stack up a Medjai's or something like that.
Yeah, that will be interesting. I'll be watching for the same, DOS. I think I would like to see the First Strike one here. I think it makes more sense with their comp. I was skeptical about it in the earlier series we saw today, this morning, but I think the First Strike here will nicely build up that early game gold so that when Jinx and Victor may have a bit of a power trough, Karthus can hold their own at that level 11, and he should be able to have 1 to 2, hopefully 2 items by that point.
Hey, Superman, this is really cool, and I'm hoping that these champions don't swap. I think we're going to get a Sejuani top. I've been seeing this creep up into the meta, into tank picks, so Sion is a perfect champion to play it into. You actually go teleport ignite, and with that, you are just constantly using that E to freeze them up, break it, and do a percentage of their health. So I think we're going to see Volibear jungle and maybe even Sejuani top to answer the Sion, which I'm really excited to see this play.
Yeah, that'll be a fun matchup to see. Sejuani can actually give Sion a run for his money, and it can be just as impactful in team fights, if not more so, when paired alongside Volibear. I'm excited to see the same, DOS. We've got 2.5 minutes of this spectator delay, so we're going to take a short break. When we come back, remember this is game 2 of a best of 3. We'll see if St. John's can pick up a win and bring us into game 3. We're here on Summoner's Rift. It's Superman and DOS on the call. We've got game 2 of this best of 3 for you between Butler on blue, St. John's on red. St. John's almost got their hard-fought victory in game 1, only to have it turned around by a double teleport into their base. In game 1, Butler stole away that Nexus and got themselves the win. So Butler, if they can get this here, they'll close out the series, but I think there's a huge chance here, DOS, for St. John's to bring us to a game 3.
Yeah, I think so too. This has been a really cool series so far. I'm hoping we continue it here in this game too. A nice group activity down to get that early lane ward to help establish the dominance for Butler's bottom lane. I do like that they can base and get the early sweeper for Nami to make sure you're keeping that bush control. We do see Milq not going for the first strike room, rather going for Dark Harvest, so it's much more of a damage oriented, maybe not quite as perma-farm your jungle. I mean, you're still Karthus, so it's probably your game plan, but you're going to be doing more damage and getting more kills with your ulti, rather than just randomly pressing it for, you know, a couple hundred gold here and there, which I do like that adaptation because, you know, these fights are so impactful. You can't be wasting your ulti. That could spell doom for the fight. So you want to make sure you time that correctly. Both lanes do start bottom side here. We're going to get a bot to top clear, and maybe Voltade and Opax just trying to blow open the Scion from Nintendo, or from Tendo.
Yeah, I mean, it will be a interesting top lane gameplay between that top jungle duo. Voltade and Opax will do a lot together if they can actually create that pressure. Tendo actually pushing early is a very interesting choice by him, knowing that Voltade likely started bottom side of the map.
Yeah, they do have a ward that they smartly put onto Voltade's blue buff, so they do see him there. Voltade did want to go for an early 3 camp, probably gank top or maybe even invade on the Karthus, but that's going to be spotted out, so that ward could be really impactful. It's those small plays, those small vision advantages that you grant yourself that can actually win and lose games for you. We engage bottom lane here.
Level 2 advantage. Flash forward onto Nabil. Flash forward by Basham too. Baited by the heal though, and now pinched between 2 members with plenty of HP because the Illusion has to create some space, but they've brought Nami close too. In the middle of the waves, Basham, he's going to get tashed forward, but I don't know if Carthago could take that kind of a trade. Kind of worked out well for both these teams. They trade pretty equally in terms of health bars and summoner spells. Flash forward, though, Voltade bullying away Milq in his own jungle, and that works out really well for him as he's going to steal that away. Skittle, not quite enough damage to take it away because it hit both the camp and Voltade. He'll be able to steal that camp away, backed up nicely by Levi.
I love the aggression from Voltade. You see he took press the attack, so he really wants to be fighting in the jungle. So he has a lot of really good 1v1 power, forcing Milq's flash out. They're engaging in bot.
If it weren't for that Guardian, he would have died. Nabil flashes forward, gets the kill. Now Mojiromo's next. They're camping up the whole wave. That's a lot. Double kill comes through for the Lulu, not the Jinx, but somehow doesn't die to the wave either. Nice use of help picks at the end there for shield to keep her healthy. That's going to be 2 kills in the bottom lane in favor of St. John's. Butler tried so desperately to try and clean that up, but it didn't work out well for them.
This is what I was worried about this bottom lane. If you're not getting these kills early, and let alone dying 2v2, the whole point of this bottom lane it's kind of meaningless, right? The reason enchanters are so strong right now is less because the enchanter themselves, it's more so because the AD carry meta is absolutely hyper carry focused. Lucian is, you know, he's about as far away from the meta as you can get right now. He is the early fighter, not so great team fighter. So I don't love that pick coming out here, especially them going down 2 kills. We would expect to see the opposite, and I would still be okay for the bottom lane here.
Oh, and look at that. Opax getting his own solo kill in top lane with that ignite. Has his own teleport if he wants to reset his own health bar. You can see Tendo clearing out the wave, likely to teleport back as well and make sure that hits the turret.
That's a lot of damage you typically don't expect, just because it's such a strange pick, the Sejuani top with Ignite. The damage can kind of catch you off the guard, but you know, it's the inting Scion type strategy. He's still almost double the farm, so he's not too sad about it.
Yep, good trade in bottom lane. You can see Voltage showed his face. Giving a little bit of information to St. John's. I want to continue to get this lead in bottom lane going. If they can get level 6 from Milq, maybe look for additional damage with Hueco to inch towards this bottom lane too. You may be able to get a few more kills onto Carthago and Mojiromo, who are flashless for the next few minutes.
Yeah, I want to see Voltade pick up that aggression again. We do know Milq has no flash, and Karthus this early into the game is so squishy. He opted to go flash instead of exhaust, which a lot of Karthuses do nowadays, to just kind of prevent them from getting 1v1'd in their own jungle, and then had to burn the flash anyway. So he's extremely vulnerable without the vision set up from his team. Look for another all-in top lane. He almost kills him, forces out the flash for ultimate as they just freely take this dragon most likely.
Yeah, they do. And even though the ward comes over that wall, not going to be able to contest. And yes, it will be first Drake going the way of Butler as, yeah, there's full control in the top lane from Opax. It's really strong for him. He's been bullying Tendo away.
Yeah, he is going towards that Fimbulwinter. You see the tier picked up, allows him to kind of spam his abilities in lane, not worry too much about mana, and gets the Fimbulwinter in the mid stages of the game where you really use the shields that you get from slowing and CCing enemies. So it really works perfect with Opax's Sejuani to keep him nice and tanky, and also have the mana to be able to constantly shove these waves. I mean, you're not a jungler on Sejuani, so you're not getting the regen from camps, you're never getting blue buffs, so you have to find a way to get some mana, and basically your options are Frozen Heart or Fimbulwinter. Frozen Heart's not that good into Tendo, it's not good into the jungler, it's only good into Jinx, so I think this is a really good build adaptation.
Yep. Kisara Tendo used teleport to get back to top lane. That's important to note because there will be a teleport disadvantage coming up in a minute with, in a few minutes, I should say, with Opax being able to teleport with an unleashed teleport at that 14-minute mark for sure. You see Carthago and Modromo still want to look for this 2v2, but Basham's getting plenty of autos in for free.
Yeah, Nabil already got that anti-heal too, so as long as you're keeping damage onto Carthago, the healing from Mojo Romo's Nami is going to be much less impactful, especially this early on. I like that item choice from Nabil to keep this pressure on and allow Jinx to get a free ride out of this laning phase. They want to get out of it as soon as possible and get into the team fighting.
Yeah, they do. And nice damage from to both of these members of bottom lane. You can see Mojo tried to go for that bubble, but nice whimsy from Nabil gave the movement speed necessary for Basham to dodge that out. Coming from Fog of War is going to be that Volibear. He put in vision deep into the enemy jungle, so they have an idea of where Milq at least is not currently. You see Carthago down to 30% HP as Opax continues to put the pain in top lane. But it's becoming harder and harder to try and make a play somewhere on the map here for Butler.
Yeah, you actually even saw Opax knowing exactly, well, roughly where the Karthus is actually even able to dirty farm the wave behind the tower and get that 100%, you know, guaranteed gold. You're not losing it to tower, you're not losing it to another minion, so there's no choice but to have perfect CS on the wave. I really like that because he does have the confidence and the knowledge to know that he is able to do that, and Karthus really can't do anything about it. But Karthus did just hit 6, so he has that Requiem available, so if the bottom lane wants to look to fight here, they have the advantage of Karthus ulti.
Yeah, they do. They want at least a couple more autos onto him before channeling that. Karthus only has a couple amp tomes. Not likely to actually end up channeling it just yet, unless it's onto Levi. As Hueco turns things around, yes, it looks like that will be a kill given to Milq onto Levi. Levi went really aggressive. Probably would have had the upper hand over Hueco if it hadn't have been for the difference made there by Requiem.
Yeah, you'd have to think there's some sort of comms or pings going down to say that Milq probably does have his ultimate. You know your jungler is level 6, so you'd have to assume the power farmer is, you know, equal at least or slightly ahead. So really, really strange 1v1 to take from Levi, knowing that they have the ultimate to help Hueco out, but you know, that's an early couple stacks on the Dark Seal for Milq, so he's really happy about that. He gets to base and continue his clear, even pick up a couple farm topside. No flash here from Opax, so he is likely to able to just walk away. He does have the charge to kind of dodge out on that lay waste from Karthus. He is just setting up here. Sion is just going to ulti to get back into lane. Probably not going to go for a kill on Opax here, so I'm not too worried there.
Well, bottom lane is finally getting a push in against the turret into Jinx. That's important to maybe even get a couple plates to answer the 3 that have been taken by Basham and Nabil. just picked up that first Herald, if I'm not mistaken. It's the first of the game, and it's now gone over to Voltade. So there's a 3-person gank onto... Yep, that's going to be a very, very dead Hueco. He's got nowhere to go. Has the presence of mind to not use his flash and just die anyway. So great choice by him, but he does actually give his life over. And now they immediately spawn the Herald to get those plates off of mid.
Yeah, that was a really high intelligence roam from Mojo Romo. He was able to set that play up. Hopefully he can get back here to save Carthago. He looks like he flashes and heals to save himself there. Nothing, no kills going either way, but it's close.
Yeah, that heal was absolutely necessary to give himself more health, to not be missing health from that Super Mega Death Rocket. Almost takes down Nabil too, who has to use the Wild Growth to save himself. Looks like there's a huge wave top lane, maybe even looking for more, but they're looking for a dive at bottom lane. Voltade ready to do that. Flame Chompers give a little bit of space, but they're actually going to flash over them and go straight onto Nabil, who flashes over the wall. Not going to be able to find that. It's a gift over to Levi. He uses that Unleashed Power to get that kill, and you can see Milq doesn't care if he actually dies here. He wants to pick up additional Dark Harvest procs. That's 1, not quite 2, but giving a kill over to this Karthus, who's building Dark Harvest and straight AP, that's a little bit scary.
Yeah, that is. Milq is very happy about this, the way that this game is going. He's got 4 Dark Harvest stacks, he's got 2 kills under his belt, so he's going to be able to get this mythic item and really start doing damage with his ultimate here. They even get Dragon on top of it, which does give you some haste, so that's perfect. I do think Hextech Dragon, I think it's the best soul, but I definitely think it's the best solo dragon, so I think you're really going to like to get that early. Gives you some attack speed and some haste. That's useful for basically everybody. We do see it engage your mid.
Yeah, we do, and there's going to be a lot of damage onto Hueco. He doesn't have anywhere to go, even though he held his flash until the last possible moment. There's not enough space because, once again, they bring 3 members mid to take him out.
Yeah, and Hueco has been caught out here a couple times. I mean, it's tough to blame him because they're drawing so many members up there. But sometimes you just have to, you know, you can't really go for those plays if you don't have vision of where these junglers and supports are. So he's lucky that Nabil was there to freeze this lane up for him, so he's not missing out on it too much. Maybe even Milq goes to soak up that wave, depending on if Hueco wants to use his teleport or not.
Gonna face check there. Tendo uses the ultimate. Weird interaction there as he gets actually stunned up in the middle of his Q from that ultimate from Opax. Or no, it wasn't even the ultimate. They're just stacking up that E passive. So that worked out really well for Opax to get out of dodge, get the ultimate for free. There's nowhere for Jinx to go. That'll be a kill this way, going for Levi, who's now 4-1 on Syndra, even with Mercury Trance.
He's got a farms. He's got a CS lead as well. So it looks like Levi is having a great early game here. We've seen this a couple times from Levi, and he seems to have these the mid-game droughts almost, like on his Gwen game. His team fighting wasn't particularly great in the mid-game, came back again in the late game, so we'll see if he can kind of mend that. He is on a better mid-game champion than Gwen, so I'm looking towards Levi to continue to dominate this game. 4-1 up, almost 20 CS.
Yeah, for sure. And there's the power of Lucian Nami. They absolutely obliterate Nabil. The Requiem earlier wasn't quite enough to take down Levi, but it really did do quite a bit to help stave off the aggression until Nabil was a little too close for comfort. You can see Opax interrupting Q for Q. Tendo might be in a little bit of trouble, but Milq's in the wings. Maybe able to turn this back around. Nice dodge on the Q. Opax in this 1v1 is working out well. He's got Glacial Prison available. Decides to use it straight onto the Scion. Takes him down. Gets away in a 1-for-2. Absolute drive-by murder.
Yeah, that was a lot more damage than I was expecting, and obviously much more damage than Tendo was expecting. So you're seeing really the surprise of Sejuani top come out. People they're not used to playing against it. They don't quite know your damage numbers. So as long as you do, that is an absolutely huge advantage for yourself to be able to, you know, calculate how much damage you're going to be doing without them knowing. You see he procs the Demolish top lane to get a ton of chunk damage on the tower. Tendo's able to use that Unleashed teleport to pick it up. But that does mean in a couple minutes time when Opax gets his teleport back up, they are going to be having the deficit, and that's going to be about right as Dragon spawns.
Yeah, for sure. And that'll be the 3rd dragon of the game. It's a Mountain Soul available on this map once they stack enough up for either team. 1 apiece means it'll be a while before we reach that point. But look at that. Even at 30% HP, Opax knows he wins this 1v1 continuously. The Hull Breaker is really stat efficient for clearing waves and towers, but kind of giving a little bit of difficulty when 1v1ing somebody who's this far ahead.
Yeah, it is. And Opax even has the level advantage. His ultimate's just about back up, and he's got Ignite. He may even look for an all-in, even though he's starting the fight at a 30%. And I'd actually give him the advantage with the 2 levels.
Yeah, he keeps missing that E, though. That's super important. Or, excuse me, the W. Whipping that, and flailing that around. You can see there's going to be the stun onto Levi just at the edge. Nabil able to find that extra poke and CC, and that'll be enough. They take the first turret bottom lane, which is kind of a surprise considering how bottom lane was going before, but they get that kill in mid. Again, just bringing 3 people. Either of these teams, they want to be able to shut down these mid laners, but it's Hueco who finds the extra angle here on a mid lane. Might not be able to finish the turret with this cannon, but is definitely trying. Bot lane, Basham's in trouble, dodges out the Aqua Prison, but Nabil used all the defensive spells to keep Basham alive, means nothing left to keep him healthy. It'll be another kill for Mojo Romo as they take down the Lulu once again.
Yeah, we've got action across all 3 lanes on the Rift right now. But one thing I do want to point out is we got another Sion ulti. Looks like he's just going to take that back to lane, and we may actually just see a fight just before this dragon spawns, 2 minutes up, just to get this vision laid down.
Yeah, 20 seconds is 15 now before that dragon spawns. Both teams want to control this vision. Both teams have quite a bit of vision in that river, and they just used a lot of ultimates, both of these teams. So it'll be a very interesting fight if these 2 teams decide to actually commit to a full-on multi-person engagement. Hueco down, multi HP, a nice unstoppable use of that ultimate from Voltaire to try and get onto Hueco, forces the flash away. But now the flash forward from really can't find it just enough damage to do it. Requiem comes through, puts everybody down to about half HP, and now Tendo's frontlining as he does best, but can't actually survive the damage. Flash for flash, not able to complete the kill. And like I said, with all those ultimates on cooldown, it's a very different kind of fight. Teleport comes through onto the flame choppers, and now you've got Thanos here, Opax with the crazy amount of damage. Ignite available, Glacial Prison over the wall in a 1v2 with the Ignite to boot. Not able to actually complete the double kill, but is able to find just enough. There's going to be a snipe over the wall from the Jinx, and the dragon goes the way of blue team. Voltoid runs for his life in the opposite direction. They split the map. 9-8 is the score, and wow, just chaos ensuing on Summoner's Rift. It's going to be very dead even in terms of score. Dragons, a couple apiece. There's a tower apiece, and gold is dead even with the kill score very close as well.
Yeah, it looks like they're actually going to open up this mid lane here. So they are the first team to get the mid tower down, which is the most important of the outers. So we're going to want to see an answer here. Levi may go down to Tendo.
All right, yeah, and Levi will be taken. He's a little greedy to stay so long after that fight alone with very little vision. Now they're going to try and clear out all these extra wards just to get a little cash back in their pockets. Bill loves to be able to do that. He'd love to complete his mythic now that we're 18 minutes in, but he keeps finding himself in very precarious positions.
Yeah, he does. You think you want to get the early, the anti-heal, completing all the way up to the Chemtech Putrefier, which when you enchant your teammates, giving them either a shield or movement speed buff, it does give them the 60% heal cut, which is pretty important for either Voltade's self-healing, or Mojo Romo's healing on others, but I would like to see a mythic come out soon because there's not a ton of healing outside of that.
Yeah, it would be really nice to have a little bit more gold even than that for Nabil. He would like to have the Chemtech Putrefier to give that heal reduction to any member that he shields as well, not just his own Glitter Lance damage or an auto here and there. Lulu does do a pretty good job of proccing it herself, but it's more powerful when you can set that up for others. You see Tendo in trouble once again as Opax put down the pain and is continuing to get those grass procs to become tankier and tankier and tankier. That's a huge core component of the team fight for blue team. Butler wants to be able to protect Carthago, and especially Levi, who got those 4 kills. Since then, just 4-1 hasn't been the kind of success they would hope it to turn into, but still trying to continue to gain more from it nonetheless. I'm not sure about that Gale Force build though, Das. What do you think about that? Hold the thought, because Hueco's in trouble again. It takes multiple members to take this man down, but it really is true that Butler continues to commit multiple members, and they do end up successfully taking Hueco down. That's the 3rd time now that they've done that. Nice use of 2 ultimates to take down the support there. Gale Force forward, but it's still the kill credit every time seeming to go on to Mojo Romo. No money for Carthago. He's got 5 assists.
Yeah, Mojo Romo is really getting the damage items though, so it's not a huge deal. Tendo's going to be able to take up this tower, and honestly, I'm starting to see Tendo stand tall to Opax. It looked really Sejuani favored in the early parts of this lane, but I'm starting to see Tendo build up the health, get all those grasps go, and he's starting to even win out or at least go more even in these fights. So I'm not, I mean, this isn't a matchup I've seen a lot, so I'm not sure if it continues to go towards the way of Sion or how that works out, but I'm curious to see if it does go that way or if they just end up being tanks and, you know, team fighting.
Yeah, commits the ignite, mostly blocked by the shield, but now Sion's out of mana, and with that kill credit going through, now it's up to Opax to get out of dodge, while that zombie form could do a lot of turnaround damage. Able to get out with the help of Mojo Romo and company. That'll be another kill for Sejuani, who now has a bounty, 4-1. Yeah, I would say, I mean, Sion did what he wanted, right? He took the turret in bottom lane. I don't think he wins 1v1 if all they're doing is fighting, but he's doing the right job to just ignore Sejuani as best he can and to go for the objective.
That he is. We see Victor, Hueco's Victor kind of freezing the lane towards the top. You see he's not doing a hard shove just because there's no vision really that he has. So he's doing the correct play, even though we as these Urbers see there's nobody there near him, but he doesn't know that for sure. So he's doing the smart play, building up a wave to shove out right before this dragon spawns in about a minute's time. He does have teleport, so he can build this wave, hard shove it, and teleport down, or he can just set it to slowly stack up and walk down to save his teleport. So we'll see what he does here. Looks like he is opting towards the shove and teleport. That is going to deny a lot of minions to that tier 2 tower top and may even get some good and meaningful chip damage to it.
Yep, might even be able to have just enough time in the next 30 seconds to walk anyway. Nope, he's going to channel teleport as you called, DOS. Now I have all 5 members here near the dragon. Under 30 seconds before that spawns, it will be the third if Butler can pick it up. They want to get priority in mid, which I believe is the right play to do here. They can threaten that tier 2. If it's not answered, at least deny those 6 minions or pull some additional focus. Levi has yet to teleport in. We're 10 seconds away from the Drake. It's a little late as he's going to teleport into a relatively precarious spot right with his team. They're coming up through the south end of the river, and that's important to all be together. They're going to start with Requiem. That's interesting. They get the hourglass out of it, but that gives the opportunity for Sion to stand in front, maybe channel some CC, get some nice poke from the autos there from Jinx using that lethal tempo. Now they proc
quick.
They do. They need to. And they proc the Drake, which is going to do equivalent chip damage, I want to say. Most of it onto the Sion who's standing in front. They have the ultimate available. Sejuani decides to go, and the wave knocks up 2. Look at that. Bash him down to basically no HP from the beginning. First casualty will be the Karthus, who continues to put out a little bit of damage. Remember, Requiem was already used. Levi flashes away from the zombie form. It's the Sejuani wreaking havoc on the other side of the map. That'll clear up the end of the fight. Tendo zombie won't get anything more for it, and that'll be a pretty handy victory in favor of Butler.
Yeah, I really wanted St. John's to pull the trigger there. If you're going to use Requiem for Milq, you can't let Mojo Romo sit there and heal it all back up, or else you're wasting one of the most impactful ults in the entire game. So if you're going to pull that trigger, you got to go. So they did not do that. They let him heal back up, get a couple people all the way full health, and then they start the dragon. They end up losing the dragon and losing the fight. So that was really, you know, I don't like that play. It's almost like they haven't really practiced that pull the trigger type comp to be able to see that going. I'm not sure if they didn't have a worthy enough engage from Tendo if his ulti wasn't up, but we'll see. They do get a pickup on Levi though. It's a nice shutdown.
That's the second time Levi's been hanging around a little longer than he should, and he gives his life for it. Of his 4 deaths, 2 of them have looked exactly like that, so he needs to clean up that act for any additional games in this series if we can get there. St. John still has the chance. I mean, look at the gold. It's dead even. Yes, it has been 3 Drakes now stacked up on the side of Butler. They threaten that soul, and one of the best souls in the game is that mountain, especially when you have these 2 tanky frontliners that would love to have the additional resistances to boot.
Yeah, Mountain also makes it so Milq cannot go for those type of plays. You can't pre-Requiem like you can without a Mountain Soul, because it's just going to be all soaked up by that static shield that everybody does have. So basically you are going for, you know, like the plays where you go in as Karthus, you die and do as much damage as you can, and then Requiem as you're going down to get execute style kills rather than preemptive poke damage. So we'll see if Mountain Drake does come out and get the full soul, but that will have to completely change the play style that St. John's want to go for.
Yep. They'll have to follow that kind of instruction if they want to find more success. I like Hueco has built pretty good penetration in this build. He will absolutely obliterate the squishier champions like Levi and Carthago and even Mochiromo. I think he'll do fine damage to the front line, but at this point of the game, I think Opax and Voltade are too tanky to die at all.
Yeah, I think Opax, Voltade, and Tendo, all three of them are so tanky right now that basically neither team can kill them without 2 to 3 people hammering on them. So they may even be crossing paths, diving each other, and we'll see who can kill the backline faster. Or they may opt to send Voltade or Opax to even peel for the likes of Carthago and Levi.
Yeah, I think Basham really could use that Lord Dom's regard as soon as possible. It looks like he's going for probably it next with that crit cloak. Just wants that early spike for this next fight, since he probably couldn't afford the last whisper right away. I think that'll be super important to chew through the health bars and the tankiness of Voltade and Opax.
Yeah, I 100% agree. You can't really afford to go the Infinity Edge just yet. You need to be able to cut through the armor first, unless you're able to hit the back line, which is where you want the crit and not the armor pen, but you really can't hit the back line without Opax and Voltade just right in your face, so you have to get through them first.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, there we go. He did pick up the last whisper, so that was a smart call, and he did make the right choice. Basham picking up the Lord Dominic's regards here soon.
Good, yep. And we're about a minute from that soul point available to Butler, so we'll be watching closely this next fight to see exactly how it goes. Looks like basically everybody's a few minutes away at most from having their summoner spells all off cooldown. Everybody's got their ultimates, so this should be a very explosive 5v5. I expect both teams to commit entirely to it.
Yeah, interestingly enough, there's not a whole lot in the vision department going down for either side. Like, basically the whole map is dark, save it but a few wards. So I wanted to see some vision placed before everybody takes their bases, get some pink wards in your inventory to really hammer down the importance of this fight. I don't think that anything is going to happen here besides Opax maybe getting caught out by the rest of the team. They do burn Shirelia's from Nabil to try and catch the team up, but Opax might just be able to walk out of there.
Yeah,
that's a pretty important cooldown for this dragon that won't be up.
Yeah, it could spell a big difference in creating that space. You know, you always want to try and outrun that tidal wave if you can from Mojiromo. That's important. And without that Shirelia's, it'll be even more difficult. They're going to get that prio in mid. I think Levi has to be a little careful here. We'll get slowed from the Tidecaller's Blessing on that laser. Now the dragon has spawn, and red team has the priority. Remember, it's soul point for blue. St. John's has to defend this. See, Opax goes in, misses his ultimate. There comes the wave, hits 4 out of 5 members as Voltade is putting out the damage. And look at that, the flash over the wall from Basham means he's got the space to get excited. Double kill for Hueco. They tried to shut him down in mid lane, but they can only do so much. Nice flash away. Levi can't get that kill, has the ultimate and puts it all onto Basham, which is enough damage. Flash forward from Carthago, gets a double kill, but the dragon goes the way of red team. It is so close from both these teams, DOS. They do deny the soul. But wow, was that a close fight.
Yeah, that was a great fight from Hueco. He was able to deal as much damage as possible, and despite Mojiromo's huge tidal wave, they still lose the fight. You could not have asked for a better tidal wave. The initial start to the fight, Opax did throw the ultimate. It went just wide of Milq, which would have been a huge pick, but that being said, they actually just get the dragon and turn straight towards Baron. I'd have to think they get it right here, but there is a teleport answering from top lane.
Yeah, teleport answered from top lane. They use the redemption to actually get them quite low and to give vision, so they know that it's taking them quite a while. Look at that solo kill from Nami. It's a shutdown, and the Sejuani comes over the wall. Milq's at the back of the pit. Smite is available, down to 11. It's down to 400. It's stolen away from the Karthus, who is dead. Able to secure that for red team on the remaining members that are alive. But you can see it is Butler trying to clean up house, and oh no, Opax goes over the wall into 3, gonna give her life away. Sejuani taken down, but there's at least 3 members now wearing purple. So in terms of gold, it's still dead even, but we'll have Jinx, Lulu, and Kisara Tendo on the sign wearing purple for the next few minutes.
Yeah, we're gonna have to see how this next, like, 20 seconds unfolds. If they can get enough towers here, it might be worth it for Butler, that play. Even though they did get Baron, we'll see if this engage means anything.
Yeah, they're going to get a knock up onto 2, but the wave cuts through all 3. These perfect tidal waves from Mojiromo are very successful in these skirmishes into team fights, and they're not able to actually break the base now that the 10 seconds have elapsed to bring Hueco and Milky back onto the Rift. So they're going to have to back away, and now it's the team with Baron that has full control of the tempo from here on out.
Yeah, that's exactly what we wanted to see from St. John's, was the ability to hold until the rest of your team got back up, because that was really the only opening that Butler had to make that Baron play worth, where they didn't get the Baron, but they got the man advantage. So they got 1 tower from it. That's not enough to make that a play that I'd be happy with if I was Butler here. So with this Baron buff, they may just be knocking on the middle doors. They're invading together with the Karthus.
Interesting to commit there into Fog of War. Could be a little scarier than they might have signed up for. It is 5 members from both teams on the map as they're trying to get this tier 2, and likely will, with the ability to push with these minions that are buffed up by Baron. They do get that turret, and as they consider what their next play would be, it looks like they're going to clear out the jungle, maybe reset and look through top lane. They got 2 waves stacked up there, and maybe it will be nice to Baron those up and take a tier 2.
Yeah, and so far this game is still even. The series has been so good. I'm hoping that we can get a game 3 just like this. Both games have been so close the entire time, and we're seeing no difference in this game 2. We'll see if this Baron can continue to knock down maybe this top tower, but it doesn't look like that. Baron might be up by the next time anybody makes a play. We got about 1:45 till this once again impactful potential soul for Butler could come through, or St. John's can tie it up and go 3-3 in the dragons, which would mean we wouldn't get a soul dragon for the until the 40-minute mark. So it would be a really late soul dragon, and that we may not even get to. We'll see how explosive these fights are and what either team can take off of the victor side.
Yeah, so we would say so far it's been St. John's kind of on their back foot. They've been winning some fights, but it mostly has been turnarounds where they've been able to find an angle to get Jinx excited. So when we are preparing for this next fight, Das, how do you feel this has to go for now Butler to finally secure themselves the soul?
Yeah, I think both fights across both games have almost gone the exact same way. It is whoever can get the first kill rolls through the rest of the fight. So I'm not sure if they need to bring Opax to try and come back and get Tendo off of Carthago to give him the space to carry the fight. Just to get that first kill down, or if now that Carthago does have some armor penetration from that Serelda's Grudge, you can really chew through Tendo with the Coaling to melt his health bar. So I want to see him fight more front to back. I think Opax's damage has now started to mean less, so I don't want him to be diving nearly as much as I want him to be peeling.
That would be interesting to see if they adjust their play to match that kind of counsel you give them. Of course, they're not exactly listening in this moment as they're in team comms, and Opax is trying to clear out this wave before committing to that bottom lane. Remember, 10 seconds and that dragon spawns. They're going to use the Requiem first, which is a curious choice, as you mentioned already before. There's a lot of that extra tankiness from the Mountain Soul, or Mountain buffs, excuse me, along the way. It gives them at least the extra space to send Butler over the wall, but without Hueco nearby, and he himself is now at half HP. That's a lot. Ooh, they do call out that Sejuani has found the flank. That's a missed engage by the Scion. He's going to get Whimsy down. Polymorphed as he sits in the brush. Knock up onto 1, gets answered by, again, a perfect tidal wave that knocks up 4 members. Carthago has to flash away, gets the final kill onto the Scion, who creates the space as Jinx was also killed on the other side. And once again, it's a very close fight, but this very healthy Hueco is holding the river steady as best he can in now a 1v4 situation. Mojiromo takes a little bit of poke. Opax really likes to do this over the wall. Nabil staying here, has flash available, flashes over the wall. Opax almost able to take him down. Hueco gets knocked up from Levi. Levi does not have ultimate available. Look at that, forces the flash away. No burn ability. Won't be enough, and now Hueco's stunned down. Flash away, almost able to kill Carthago with the laser. They're trying to create space, but Opax is just healed to basically full, able to 1-2 punch his way through. Hueco has to create that extra space and will likely find his victory. But wow, okay, I tell a lie. That was a lot more distance than I thought that pig could cover.
Yeah, and despite Hueco playing that fight so well, he was so late to the fight. You see that they are dueling up the top lane, Opax and Hueco. Opax actually teleports straight into the fight right as they engage. Hueco decides to finish his back and then channel his teleport. He was about 10 seconds late to that fight, which if he was there early or teleported instead of going back to base, I'm not sure if he really needed an item pickup, but you could think that fight would be a lot different with how well he played the later stages of it. If he was there for the whole fight, you know, that could have been much different from their side.
Yeah, the Sejuani pickup and piloted by Opax is going fantastically. Not only did he bully Tendo through laning phase, but in that slide split push there, it was Hueco trying to answer Opax, traded half of his HP bar just to kind of whittle down at Opax. Opax, like you described, teleported immediately, but it was Hueco having to return to base or show up with half HP, and he made a tough decision, and it turned out a little poorly for him. Looks like Butler has decided to go on to the Baron. It is denied vision, even though there was a plant that showed that it was happening. Looks like they'll be too late to rotate over, and it will be Baron picked up by Butler. They're going to recall, spend their gold, and decide where on the map they want to put that pressure.
Yeah, Tendo does get the bottom tower here, so a little bit of gold for them and opens up the map just a tiny bit in that bottom side where there is no vision. We do see Milkew's Karthus going in there, seeing if he can pick up any camps, but he may be overstaying a tiny bit, and they want to see if they can catch him out, but he does get that recall off. But once again, we have to reiterate here, the Mountain Soul is secured for Butler. So these early pre-fight Requiems are going to be near meaningless. He's going to have to make sure they are low HP and the fight has already well begun before dropping the Requiem, which may mean Milkew may be only doing it from his passive, where his Beyond Death lets him use his spells for just a little bit longer before actually returning to the fountain.
Yeah, good point, Dawson. They'll try and get a little bit value out of the Shadow Flame items that give them bonus penetration when the enemies are shielded. That's an interesting interaction with the Mountain Soul. Means they'll have additional magic penetration to chew through those shields, but they do have to indeed chew through those shields themselves. There's going to be another turret picked up, this time by Opax, splitting a little bit from his team while also wearing purple himself. We'll see if he can bring up the minions to actually knock on the base. Opax in a 1v2, still able to bully out Tendo. You can see Milkew's trying to help clear those minions, but it's very difficult to do. They're going to ult towards the mid lane. You can see this is a flank from the Scion. Can't get interrupted by that wave, but the wave stops everybody else from joining the fight. Yet again, Mojoromo landing his perfect ultimates. Hueco's stuck in the middle and can't stop the unstoppable Volibear. Trades his life 1-for-1 at that point. You can see still that Opax is extremely healthy. Here comes the Requiem to maybe create some space. Levi is able to barely survive through the healing, of Mojoromo. He's going to recall. Doesn't have teleport to come back. Looks like they won't be able to actually take an inhibitor at this point, but defend the base nonetheless against a team that has both Soul and Baron. I did not notice, I'll be honest, that Opax was playing Ring Around the Rosie, Ring Around the Nexus. Will actually give his shutdown gold over to Jinx. I'm not really sure how that came about, but nonetheless, they're going to have to reset their entire team and look to try and take the base again.
Yeah, Hueco steps up just a little bit too far and maybe didn't have eyes on Opax that managed to sneak behind him, so he was actually caught out. Traded 1-for-1 with Voltage, so he was able to bring one with him, which was good. Mechanical play from him, but his positioning did allow him to go down. He needs to be playing off the range of that Death Laser that he does have. It has one of the highest range, basic abilities for damage output in the game, and that is why Victor is such a powerful pick in these later game team fights right now. So it is partly on him, partly on the rest of his team to not have the vision to spot out Opax's Sejuani there on the flank. So they really need to make sure they have the vision to set Hueco up for success, and he needs to continue to also try to make the right calls to set himself up for success.
Indeed. And now we're approaching 40 minutes into the game, and we'll have an Elder Drake. The first time I think we've seen an Elder Drake spawn here in Big East Spring. And one of these two teams would love to capture it and use it to push for a victory. We're at the point of the game where, especially, the teams are within 2,000 gold, 1,500 gold of each other. The gold is dead even. These numbers don't matter at all. It's at the point where who can survive the fight and for how long. It looks like they're going to engage straight onto Carthago. They dodge out from the Scion ultimate, but they can't really trade back much damage. With that ultimate not available, they'll just have Prio in mid. And look at that. Auto's down onto Carthago, blocked by Voltage. There comes the wave over the wall, knocks up only one this time, and without that key spell, we'll see how this fight goes. You can see the stun straight onto Hueco, who uses the stopwatch he purchased precisely for this reason. Goes forward, gets the shutdown onto Syndra, is able to trade his life for the mid laner, but Requiem is answered by Mojaromo's redemption, but Basham has red buff, flashes forward, gets a triple kill, trades his life, 80 carry for 80 carry, but there's 3 members left. They ping onto the Nexus turrets. They have a healthy enough tanky member to maybe tank up these turrets. Now they got a wave behind them with cannon to boot. They've got 40 seconds to end the game, DOS.
I think that's game. Are we about to get our first ever game 3?
I believe we are. This will be St. John's clearing out the base. Butler, they did such a great job of dodging out the first engage of that fight, but they maybe bit off more than they could chew at the end. You can see there's the the unstoppable force moving through there for Sion to get damage on both turrets. Clear that out as quickly as they can. 5 seconds before Voltage would spawn anyway. They're going to take the Nexus, and yes, with only 2,000 gold separating these teams in a 40-minute banger of a match, it will be St. John's taking us to game 3.
Finally, we get to go to a game 3. This series has been crazy fun. I can't wait to see what this game 3 means. Every single turn at every single game, both 1 and 2, we're seeing fight after fight after fight, and they are all so neck and neck. Even through the Mountain Soul that Butler did have, they were able to cut them down with Milkew's Requiem, and that did win them the fight. A great stopwatch from Hueco there. I gotta shout that out. He almost got picked, but if it wasn't for that stopwatch, be able to, get his damage out before going down, that could have lost them the fight.
Yeah, I mean, somehow Mojaromo on one of his enchanters, I mean, it's to be expected, but somehow he's landing every single tidal wave. And the one fight he doesn't land a tidal wave on to 3+ members, he lands the perfect Aqua Prison to force out that stopwatch. And yeah, it was a very back and forth game, DOS, an excellent spectator event to be able to witness. And it will take us to a game 3. These two teams are clearly very evenly matched. They're giving us bangers of these games. And we're going to take a short break so that we can be refreshed and ready to go for game 3 to see who takes the series. Welcome back, esports fans. It's the Big East Spring League of Legends tournament. I'm Superman, joined by DOS. We're back from the break. We are, in fact, you heard it here first, going into a game three. I know, we've never seen this before ever in the history of Big East. I'm trolling a little bit, but it's been a while, DOS, since we've actually seen. I think you've never actually seen and been here for a best of three going to game three.
Superman, I got a smile on my face. I am ready to get into this game. Finally, a game three. You know, off air, I'm constantly asking, when are we getting a game three? When are we finally going to get a really close series? As it seems like most of these series are heavily one sided. This is finally neck and neck for games one and two going into game three. This is going to be crazy. The winner takes all finally here in this game three.
Yeah, it's been wild. Games have been going back and forth. Both game one and game two were neck and neck. And I mean within 2,000 gold of each other. The entire game, Barons going one way, the other. We finally even saw a Soul taken Mountain in that last game. And it was the team with Mountain, Soul, and Baron that lost. Like, what are these games, DOS? They make no sense. They're so close.
Yeah, that was a seven dragon game. When's the last time you've seen a seven dragon game? Not including elders either. So it was 3-on-1, four to the other to lock in that soul. Once we get into draft here, I'm expecting to see the same thing. Everybody knows that we're just going team fights after team fights. When we really do start getting into these, I want to see more things that enable those. I want the hyper carries. I really did not like the Lucian pick, as I feel that champion just does
Yeah.
not fit the niche of a hyper carry team fighter that you really need this patch.
Yeah, we saw Mojoromo landing the Aqua Prisons, landing those great tidal waves on the Nami, and I think Carthago was landing his spells just the same, but Lucian is just so weak right now. It didn't do what they hoped. They definitely didn't get that early game advantage they wanted, and though Carthago was definitely putting out damage in the fights, it didn't do the same that we've seen, say, like Vayne or Jinx do.
Yeah, you have to do so much more to get so much less on Lucian right now. Playing that champion perfectly just means less than sitting in the back as Jinx and right
Yeah.
clicking all day long, right? So you really want to be able to use those champions that scale really well with items rather than the early levels or have the the dissipating effects of scaling off of your abilities. You want those right click crit carries right now in the meta with an enchanter to back them. It was almost like they got baited in by the Nami pick, as that was like the only
Yeah.
enchanter left open. Then they go, oh, what pairs well with Nami? Of course, it's Lucian, but Lucian just isn't. It's just not the pick for the meta right now. And we saw Mojo Romo play a near perfect Nami game. Mojo Romo played awesome that game, and it just didn't matter.
Yeah, not mattering enough, and it was. I think the draft we've seen it very similar so far. Three enchanter bands into a first pick blue side for Butler. Last game, instead of picking up Jinx that was also available for first pick, they got the blind random Volibear. Like that, I don't think that was the play, and it kind of threw the draft, giving the Jinx all the way over Jinx Lulu to Basham and Abil, and it worked out for a victory for Basham and company. And now it's going to be Jinx. Lulu is available, but they're going to go into Aphelios Thresh, which is also a very strong lane.
Yeah, you'd have to think we get Jinx Lulu here. I am very what's just as you are. I am so surprised they traded a blind Volibear for Jinx Lulu, who may be the strongest team fighting duo in the game right now. They instead go for Hecarim Sejuani, so they're opting to not take that Lulu. They know that it's not going to be picked away, so they are drawing that card and knowing they're going to force a ban. But that means there is going to be some sort of enchanters that we can get Mojo Romo
Hmm.
on to pair well with this Jinx. They only have two bans left and no picks. But we do see Aphelios Thresh. That is a classic comp here. That is one of the strongest bot lanes in the upper echelons of pro play. You'll see your T1s with the likes of Gumiyoshi and Keria absolutely decimating all of the Korean scene with that duo. So if you know how to play both of those champions to its perfection, that can be the strongest lane in the game and also a great team fighting duo. But both of those champions are incredibly hard to pilot and play to their maximum capability, but that ceiling is still there.
Yeah, and you have to have the right guns for those team fights too. You'll scale fantastically as long as you have the right guns, but if you don't, then you run into big trouble. They're going to ban away one of Butler Mojoromo's best champions in the Zillion. They took away the Lulu as well. You and I both expected those additional support bans to come through in this draft phase, and I think that's left. They could go for the Nami again or consider something like Rel that they did in game one.
Yeah, they could. I did actually like the rail play, and now that there is no Vayne, you do actually have the Flay from Thresh, which is probably an even better answer into rail than Condemn would be because it doesn't have that same charge up time that Condemn does. It's much easier to answer into rail. But that being said, Mojo Romo played a great game of rail regardless, and it does pair well with Hecarim. So we'll see what is picked up here. We may just go Morgana. This is the classic Thresh counter with the black shield. Even though Morgana has fallen out of meta just a bit, it is such a good pick into Thresh that it may not matter.
They do, in fact, lock it in, Doss, so they'll have that counter in the bottom lane. I don't think it's enough to give them uh, the upper hand in that lane by any means, but they'll at least be able to not be rolled over by Thresh Aphelios if they were to get rolling. Akshan locked in. That's an interesting pick, Doss. I think it's a great answer to Sejuani top. They may have even played mind games. We were reading the champion select banter going back and forth. They're like, please don't play Sejuani top. It was not fun for me to play against. And instead, it is locked in early and relatively blind, and so they're going to lock in Akshan, which will have that ranged advantage against Sejuani.
Yeah, that might have been the old classic pull the rug, saying, "Oh, I don't want to play into this," and we actually get Evelynn locked in. I've not seen that champion in a very long time. What is Evelynn gonna do into this team comp? You're really gonna have to go for an assassination on Jinx. We'll see what Milkew's Evelynn does do. I'm not sure if he's played this in the split here, this or the previous one, but we will really see how that goes. I want to see Akshan in the top lane, but it looks like Volibear is going to be there. I thought Akshan would have been the best answer into Sejuani, and it would have been a really good team comp, but Akshan into Ari means a whole lot less.
Yeah, I would not have expected that the Volibear would be put top. Although I do think Volibear will have a fine lane into Sejuani. I think Akshan could have bullied it even more. And this gives not the greatest matchup in mid either. Akshan is very susceptible to Ari's all in.
Yeah, you would think that they wanted to when they first hovered that action, I think they were finally going to break the mini meta that has been forming in this series of duo tanks top just scrapping it out, and one side I thought they were finally going to really go all in, play for the top lane and really smash through that lane with an Akshan, but they end up taking it mid. It still could be a good pick. That champion does a ton of damage, and that all important revive is so helpful in these competitive style games. So I'm not all out against the Akshan into mid lane, but I really did want to see a playstyle change up and throwing it into the top lane.
Yeah, for sure. I would like to see a little bit more of a mix up. We love to see the chaos coming through here in the Big East. We got a little over 2 minutes on that Spectre delay, so we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we'll see how Evelynn can play in this Game 3 if Milq can find success for his team. St. John's versus Butler, Game 3, coming back your way. DOS, is this a game 3? I think it is. We're here on Summoner's Rift, the third and final game in a best of 3 here at Big East Conference. It's crazy. Butler versus St. John's, and I think either of these teams could take this game.
Absolutely. Both teams have proved to both of us and themselves that they can take a game over just in a moment's notice. Just when you think one team is slightly pulling ahead, the other one answers. One thing I do want to notice about this game is, are we going to get that high kills, high intensity games, or are the nerves starting to kick in? It really is down to this game. You may see a slower paced game from both sides. Or hopefully one team really says, screw the nerves, I'm going all out into this game, and they really start to fight. And I think the team that has the confidence to do that is giving the edge in my mind.
Yeah, confidence is huge. That mental fortitude in best of series, and here we are in the finality of it. Whoever wins this game takes the cake. They get that extra point on the scoreboard, and it matters because these two teams are obviously so closely, evenly matched that winning against each other in these head-to-head matchups early on in the split means they get that win on the scoreboard for seeding into playoffs. So this really does matter. Who will win this? It could even to the point mean if you make playoffs or not. If some of those smaller teams are able to, or the lower ranked teams are able to take a game off of you when you least expect it, well, you need to get this win over the teams that you're closer to.
Yeah, winning this series does give you that luxury of being able to, give up the random game to a lower seeded team on an off day. It really does allow you to, kind of get away with that. Whereas if you lose this game, you do not have that luxury. You have to win out on the rest of your important and less important games.
Wow, the flash forward to double auto. That's a solo kill for Ihueko on Levi, who had flash and exhaust available. Couldn't find the angle to use either of those summoner spells to keep himself healthy. He dies, and without teleport, he has to walk the long walk of shame back off mid. 2 minutes in the game.
That early damage from Action is really surprising to a lot of players. He was not even level 2. Level 2 is actually typically when you see, the classic Action dive mid play with the grapple hook swinging around your mid tier 1 while you're still level 1, but he didn't even need that. He just flashed in level 1, got that press the attack fully charged up, and was able to solo kill him with Levi still having both summoner spells. You can clearly see he did not expect that damage.
Yeah, you talked about confidence, Das. Clearly, Hueco brings it, emoting while minions are waiting to spawn, and then gets the solo kill 1v1 in mid, and has the wherewithal to buy a control ward to continue to deny vision so that they can play with that invisibility between him and Evelyn.
Yeah, I love the control ward purchase. It helps you go invisible and fake roams, but it also keeps you safe while you are flashless. You have to make sure you can't use that E, the grappling hook that Action does have. You can't really use it aggressively up until until your flash is back up, or 100% where the jungler is. So the control ward really does help with the lack of flash in a strange kind of way.
For sure. Voltage going to clear out the vision up here, put additional pressure onto Tendo to give Opax the breathing room to clear out that wave and likely recall himself. Yep, the top laners are going to match themselves and return to top lane. I don't know if they'll both teleport back in, but it might be just a bit of a poker face from both of them to see who might teleport first and then answer it.
Yep, looks like they're just both going to walk as the wave freezes perfectly in the middle lane. And one thing we talked about while this game was loading up, Superman, was what is MilQ going to do this game? He realistically has one target in Jinx who can get a black shield. I mean, think about it. You have Sejuani top. You're not going to want to all in as Evelyn onto that, nor into Hecarim. Levi can build a Zhonya's and also has so much mobility with that Spirit Rush. And then Jinx, your last remaining target, can get a spell shield because Mojo Romo can build a Zhonya's.
Yeah, it'll be very difficult to find that angle for MilQ. It definitely will have to build a ton of AP, get that gold, and build it straight into items for him to be able to burn through things like the Black Shield and put enough damage to take down some of these tankier members. I think what they do have going for themselves so far is that first blood in mid. Hueco has to be able to do that, but it looks like there actually may be some kill threat top lane. Yeah, with the extra auto, there's no flash for Sejuani. Takes him down in a 1v1. That's why they picked the Volibear. He's such a strong 1v1 top laner.
Yeah, Tendo says, I'm no longer the Scion, I can fight back and actually win. So he proves that to him there, gets the solo kill without using a summoner. Opax has the Ignite and still lost the 1v1 to Tendo, who didn't use the Summoner spell at all. So that is fantastic for Tendo. Gets the early aggression and forces a teleport out of Opax as well. As the lane freezes up here, he could just take his back and walk back in, or he could go for another fight.
Yeah, that's important. There's going to be the devastating charge, knocking Hueco into the charm. Great communication between both members of Butler. They get that kill. It's a takedown, and it will make sure that they can push it back in and deny additional minions from Hueco. They don't want him hitting that level 6 and be continuing to bully out on Levi. They didn't even have to use the flash or exhaust, so that was really good. Good call, too, from Levi to be like, hey, I know I died, but he had to use flash and ignite, so we have a possibility to gank him back, and they did.
Yeah, sometimes that information is just as important as a kill. It can let you get those comeback kills as well. That was a pretty bad misplay from Hueco. As you saw, he used the grappling hook and threw it straight at Voltade and not at the wall. So the grappling hook, if it doesn't hit a wall, it doesn't do anything. It doesn't do damage if you hit him. So I'm not sure if he meant to press Q and throw the boomerang there and got his combo mixed up, but they do dive top here.
They do, but it looks like Tendo might give his life to the Ignite is ticking. Nope, he uses his flash to make sure he only takes the 1 tower hit at the tail end of that fight. That will be pretty good, and that's kill credit over to Milky, which is important for her getting the gold necessary to build those AP items. And 2 stacks on the Dark Seal, you'll take those.
Yeah, Tendo with a great dive on Volibear. I know well, as I play with a Volibear main every once in a while, how easy that dive is to pull off as the jungler. You wait till your Volibear hits 6, and you turn off the tower and kill them. It's that simple, so I love to see them executing it.
Yeah, speaking of executing, Hueco just waiting in the wings, invisible, swings over the wall and gets a solo kill for himself, even getting the flash out of Mojoromo. I could tell you, as a support player myself, playing like that Morgana, I would have never expected Hueco, this random Akshan, to just be sitting around the corner when I'm clearing my own ward defensively. The enemy bottom lane isn't even nearby. Like, wow, I would be a little tilted, I'll be honest.
Yeah, and sometimes it's those strange roams, the unorthodox timings that really catch you off guard, especially if you are used to, playing in a very structured, you assume certain styles are going to happen and then they don't. That really can throw you off guard.
Yeah, it looks like Opax has actually chosen the wrong kind of path. We'll end up giving their life away. Kill credit to the Evelyn. That's important as well. Only worth 220 gold that time, though.
Yeah, that is 3 quick deaths from Opax here. I'm hoping they can, start to play a little bit more defensive and not find themselves in the enemy jungle. They have yet, actually, they just ticked over to level 6, so they do have that impactful ultimate. Even if you are behind, it can be helpful. They look like there's an engage here bottom, too, as Hecarim's rolling in.
Yeah, Nabil had to step forward away from the great placement of Chompers by Carthago, and using that Onslaught of Shadows to get the distance to go between them. That was enough to get the kill credit over to Voltade. Basham trying to lifesteal through is actually doing a great job staving off the aggression in that 1v3 situation. He'll survive with his flash and cleanse used. But yeah, that was a great gank path there from Voltade to take down Nabil.
Yeah, ultimate's traded in mid lane as Tendo might be poised to get that ultimate back up and dive again. We'll see if Evelyn clears her blue and makes her way back up there to do a repeat dive. I think now would be a good time before Opax can get that base in. Right now, he is sitting on a tier, a longsword, and a ruby crystal. I'm not. Let's see if Opax goes like a hole breaker. That could be an option. I don't really know what else the longsword would be turned into unless you do go for the odd man immune, but that would be just as strange.
It would be strange, and especially to continue building some sort of damage when you're losing those 1v1. It's a little bit of a risky business to continue with that. It looks like this Drake will be going the first one of the game, going the way of St. John's. It'll work out well for them, and they'll secure it without any trouble.
Yeah, for sure. We are seeing this Evelyn doing work early before the, before the tankiness of Sejuani gets in and the, the items from Levi and Mojoromo, those stopwatches that they need to survive Evelyn. This is the time that Evelyn needs to be making these proactive plays, and Milky is doing just that. Has a huge farm lead, 2-0, 4 stacks on the Dark Seal. They're doing what Evelyn needs to be doing, and they're doing it early when it still matters, and I really like that. To get this lead before those impactful anti-Evelyn, so to speak, items do come into play.
Yeah, Hueco might be out of position though. Milq in the wings, ready to turn things on to Voltade, but gets charmed into the electrocute. Voltade is going to be a flash forward ignite from Hueco. Nice knock up onto Levi. One more auto might do it, and the ultimate is blocked by the minion wave. Levi barely gets away with his life, but really great play. Playing around this auction and the invisibility from Milq works out really well for them. They're going to turn this into a Herald on top of that kill.
And I'm not sure if this was the original plan, but there is one thing I want to point out for Mojo Romo that I really like, is he is actually going towards an Emax Enchanter style build from Morgana, which will actually keep that black shield at a higher number, so you can't just break through it and still get the charm from Evelynn. I'm not sure if that was adapted to the Evelynn pick or if that was the plan all along, but nonetheless, I really like the build path.
Yeah, really smart, intelligent play there to go with the Airy build too. That's going to work out well for them to keep people alive versus at least Milq's Evelynn. But this 3-in-1 Akshan from mid is doing so much work and getting even 3 plates for himself without the Herald being used yet. That's really a lot of gold in his pockets. He's even got the 20 CS lead over the Ahri as well.
Yeah, there's a couple plates going, being knocked down top lane as well. Bottom lane is the only side that there are not plates taken from St. John's yet. So these plates are really starting to add up. It's almost a 3,500 gold lead. But we do see Voltade, or sorry, rather, Opax maybe even ganking his own lane here as Levi starts to duel with Tendo.
Yeah, that is a curious choice. Missing out on the wave mid. You can see question mark pings from the red team, wondering, is anybody going to answer this? But the flash forward to stun onto Ahri, who has Spirit Rush available. Not enough. That's a killing spree for Milq as bottom lane's fighting as well. You can see Mojo gets rooted and down to enough damage. That's Basham getting his first kill, but they're going to trade support for support as Nabo will fall to Jinx. Carthago picks up his first kill of the game.
Yeah, that was a pretty even trade there. They end up going 1-for-1. Both supports do fall for both teams, but you get a kill on the AD carry. I actually believe it was kill for AD carry, so it's almost a complete wash. Gold is pretty even in bot lane, at least from gold that they've acquired themselves, but you have to keep in mind all of the plates that are going down, and if the tower drops down, that is actually going to be global. So even if you didn't get the tower yourself, you are going to be, getting the benefits from it. So we'll see if that goes. But right now, bottom lane is fairly even. It's a little bit of a CS lead for Basham here. So he is scaling nicely on Aphelios. But all things considered, it can go either way bottom lane here, which, both the solo lanes have been pretty volatile, but as we know, these fights are all about the ADC. So if Carthago can get fed, you can kind of make up for the fact that your solo lanes aren't doing so hot right now. So that's kind of what they're looking towards.
Yep. Basham pretty strong. He would love to finish that call sooner rather than later, but Milq's found Voltade in the wings. He knew that he was going to probably come for that Rift Scuttler. Akshan also putting a little bit of damage around that corner, and you can see it's a 4v3 situation around mid as Levi comes around and not Spirit Rush just yet. Now it's off cooldown. Carthago inching towards mid as well. They don't want to lose that turret, but there's really nothing they could do about it with that Herald.
Yep, the Herald does knock down that, and that is always the most important tower to get down in the game. That gives you access to both sides of the jungle to lay down vision to prep for things like this dragon, which is coming up in 50 seconds. So I want to see Nabil do just that. He does have his ward stone ready to go, so he can walk in there, get a couple wards down to establish that front line of vision before dragon spawns in 30 seconds. There is a pink in the pit, so if they start it, there is no way Butler can know. But Ghost going down for Voltade top.
Yeah, and the Spirit Rush forward. Charm is going to get canceled by the ultimate. And then look at that, the perfect return gank from Milq, countering it through. And they're going to give the kill over to Tendo, who's now got 2 kills of his own with that Black Cleaver. Lots of CDR for him to keep fighting 1 versus 1 in those side lanes. And they're going to not get all the rest of the turrets, but they are able to take that down. Objective bounties coming soon because there's a 7,000 gold lead in favor of St. John's right now.
Yeah, Milq is playing immaculately. He's everywhere he needs to be. I thought it was going to be so hard for him to, maneuver this game correctly, but he did the one thing he needed to do, which was get ahead early and establish that dominance before before the side of Butler could really play the Evelyn has no fun style game, right? So now he's so strong that it just doesn't really matter. Opax is not tanky to him, right? Opax is going for a hole breaker and has a tier. He has 0 tank stats, basically. Essentially, a ruby crystal's worth of health is all he's built so far, and he's 0-3, so he's falling really far behind from this game, and Milq is able to just pick on him.
So, Hueco built a Medjai's last game. Do you expect Milq to build the same?
He just did. There you go. He's got 9 pages in the book already, and you were talking about how he needed that early AP, and Medjai's is a great way to do that. And you see he did pick up a Null Magic Mantle. This is one of my favorite builds on Evelyn. You actually go for a Medjai's early, and to complement that, you get a pretty early Banshee's Veil. So you come out of your invisibility, and if they have one impactful CC ability, such as Levi's Charm or Opax's glacial ultimate there, you can actually kind of just ignore that one and keep your stacks safe.
Yeah, I really do like it when these AP mages that get rolling go Medjai's into a defensive item, whether it is Banshees or an Hourglass. It's really important because it's an investment, and you protect that investment by having that defensive option to keep your stacks, even if you do get into a hairy situation. So that's important. Black Shield goes down, and Bill's hook goes wide, and that's going to be nothing for them. They pick up the dragon. That's the second. It was a Hex Tech, and that means it'll be a Cloud Soul on the map, as now Tendo knows he can 1v1 this very, as you mentioned, extremely squishy Opax. And yeah, now Voltade's here to maybe back him up, but has to turn the corner and say, this is not one race I'm going to be in. The pony walks away, tail between his legs.
Yep. Certified stinker from Opax so far here. Not loving his build. He keeps getting caught out. And even if he did build some armor, Tendo rushed the Black Cleaver, so he's instantly shredding what little armor Opax does have. So he just seems to dying on repeat. Voltade is trying to help him out. You've seen Voltade make his way up there a couple times now, and it just keeps going all for naught. So when do you think Voltade actually says, you know, maybe we cut our losses here, this top lane is not going the way we want it to, and he tries to focus in the bottom lane, which still has a chance of coming out on top?
I would hope sooner rather than later. The laning phase is just about over at this point. They've lost their outer turret in both mid and top, and they're about to lose their bottom lane as well. And at that point, there's no more real ability to gank the enemies without investing a lot of money into vision. And that's hard to do when you're down in gold.
Yeah, if you don't have money to invest in a vision, there's nothing you really can do, and you just have to kind of take those blind fights and hope for the best. But one thing there is to mention, this is our first game this series that there is the comeback gold mechanic in effect. As you can see at the top middle of your screen here, it's 600 bonus gold for a Dragon or Herald, 300 for an Outer Tower, and 480 for his tier 2. So we'll see if they can actually cash in on those. Doesn't look like they're really quite in a position to do that just yet. The answer would be bottom lane though, but we see Action coming in here.
Yeah, Hueco decides to be the engage for his team, goes in, gets exhausted, has to flash away, and you can see that the Hecarim was able to do everything he needs to create that chaos. They shut down one, trade the mid laner's life for support, and that's pretty good for blue team. But there's the flank, of course, from the Evelyn that we expected to come through. Gets charmed into a lot of damage, still has the pages in that book stacking up. Carthago not going to have a turret because it's disabled, and that's going to be an unstoppable huge glacial bear. Gets hit by the charm and a lot of damage, but it's not enough. Great use of the blast plant to create that additional space. And there's the Evelyn going deep, trying to catch out Opax, who has nothing for it. There's flash forward, getting those extra pages in the book. The 176 gold doesn't really matter. It's those extra pages in that Medjai's that really make the difference for Milq.
Yeah, just because Opax isn't worth gold anymore doesn't mean he's not worth the same amount of stacks in the Medjai. So I really like that build. It allows you to keep focusing the weakest link of the current game and still get the, you know, roughly the same benefits. You may not be getting the gold, but you are still worth the same amount of stacks in the Medjai's, which makes you stronger against everybody else. So now Milq is strong enough that he can probably go up to Carthago here, press E and R, and he's dead. Like, there's nothing they can do about it. He has the safety of the Banshee's Veil now complete, and does have that Rift Herald ready to go. So he's able to sneak around, maybe even drop the Herald on a tier 2 as all the tier 1s are already fallen here.
Yeah, I'm going to say something so brave yet so controversial, and I want to get your thoughts, Das. My statement is, this is the strongest St. John's will get. They will never get more strong in relation to Butler than they are right now. And if they don't end the game in the next 5 minutes, they have a serious, and I mean serious, chance of losing this game, despite the fact that they're up 10,000 gold right now.
Yeah, you are correct. They are ahead a monumental amount of gold right now, and they aren't getting any stronger. But I think they're ahead so much that it may not matter, especially if Opax keeps getting picked out like out here. He's not getting gold to actually come back into this game, so it may not matter. But you are correct with the assessment that they're probably not getting much stronger in comparison to the game state. But it may not matter if you know the side of Butler is already tilted. If they've already tossed in the bag and are kind of giving up, you have to keep that mental head to get back in this, and it just may not be happening.
Yep, looks like this is smart. They're taking the immediate Baron, the fastest we've seen thus far. They beat it by about 17 seconds from the fastest we saw prior to this, and that will be Baron picked up. And like I said, I think they need to end the game with this Baron buff, or it'll be slowly but surely the possibility for Butler to scale. They've got the Jinx, they've got the Ahri, and yes, Opax has been worse than worthless so far, unlike the last game where he 1v9 carried, but at some point that Sejuani is going to have 6 items and is going to be level 18 if you don't end this game.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. As the game goes on, gold leads mean less, so we do want to see them really push the tempo. It is only a Cloud Dragon as well, so it's not the highest impact in terms of raw team fighting ability. It's great for this Evelynn to continue to run around and make the picks that she wants to, but by the time that you have an entire Dragon's Soul completed, there's probably not a lot of picks to be made. You'd think that people are really grouped as 5. They have their vision laid down. So we'll see what that dragon entails for the team fighting of St. John's, but I think you are right. They want to try and close this game out quick before even letting Butler think about getting back into it. It is still an incredibly tall task for Butler to get into this game. Don't get me wrong. Like, I would not bet for Butler here, but the longer it goes, the easier it gets.
Yeah. It's going to take a serious uphill battle, though, for Butler, because they are down 12,000 gold in 22 minutes, and even more so as these towers continue to just fall like paper. Opax getting ganked again. You can see Tendo is willing to dive on that turret. Doesn't even need to use his ultimate. Is willing to take those tower hits and save that for an even deeper dive. Nice flash from Basham as he might have been in big trouble there. Voltade had the wherewithal to see that he had the backup from Levi. They may have been able to pick the Jinx, but flash means Basham, or not the Jinx, excuse me, the Fillers, but they were able to keep him safe. Speaking of Jinx, there's the charm getting set up, possibly there for Milq, but it looks like they won't actually commit. Nice charm into there. That actually will be Hueco giving his life up. A nice exhaust there from Levi. He might have actually given his life too. No, he does actually die to the minions. There's chaos ensuing on the top lane as they break open the base. They get that inhibitor. They're going to commit even further. There's the ultimate to disable one of the turrets. Flash forward. Can't quite get it. Not enough damage. Robo survives. Turns around and they get the shutdown onto that Volibear. There's going to be a Super Mega Death Rocket to slow down. They retreat. They want to see if they might be able to pick up a few more. Basham says, I'm still full HP and you're half, so try it if you will, but I might be able to take you down. I've got a lot of items. And of course, he's got that Lord Dom's Regard to chew through even any health that has been built by Opax and Voltade. We're going to get another turret, and that balloons the gold lead to now 13,500 gold in 23 minutes. And their sole point will be up in 3 minutes' time if they even want the game to last that much longer.
And Opax finally gets a kill, but his kill is a 900 gold shutdown that he soaks for himself instead of getting it into the hands of the turbo carry Jinx in this late game. So it is a shutdown, that is good, don't get me wrong, but that is not who you wanted it to be on. You have the Breaker, and he's never going to be able to 1v1 anybody. So honestly, I would sell the item and go for a team fighting item as soon as you can, just to get some of those tanky stats. But as you see there, that was a 2-for-1. So Butler is, you know, they're holding on a little bit, and if they continue to make these, you know, slightly favored plays in their advantage, they could slowly but surely see themselves creeping back into this game. But even after that slight blunder from St. John's, it is still a monumental hill to climb for Butler.
Yeah, St. John's has to keep playing aggressively like this. You see Hueco bullying them out from their own jungle, likely going to get this kill. We'll see if the death sentence does in fact land. Charm goes wide. That would have probably been a dead Thresh so they defend their base. But now with the super minions pushing through top lane, they're funneling gold into Butler. Butler can easily just clear up those waves, and as long as they don't lose more objectives on the map, then they'll be very happy to collect that additional gold and deny golden experience from St. John's. St. John's, like I said, they can only be as strong as they really are at this point in the game, and they have those item power spikes. They've got basically a full item apiece over their counterparts, and now with the next dragon spawning, that'll be their soul, and maybe on this next Baron, it'll be exactly what they need to put the final nail in the coffin.
Yeah, what I actually want to see from Milkyou here is hovering around that actual fallen inhibitor, because they have to send one person to go collect that farm, and you're likely going to want to send your squishy heal-less and dash-less Jinx to go pick it up, who's going to feel safe collecting the wave in her own base. But if there's an invisible Evelynn there, like for instance right here, if Evelynn was near, they would actually be able to just one-shot the Jinx. But it looks like Butler may have spotted this potential play out, and they do put a pink ward right at the gate of the base. So that's actually really smart. I did not notice that before. So props to Butler for noticing that potential angle to kill Carthago and keeping him safe with the small investment of just 75 gold.
Yeah, very intelligent to make sure that they can keep her safe to continue that wave clear. And yeah, she's collecting that gold. She's now actually got a CS advantage, surely not a gold advantage, but a CS advantage over Basham. And it's just that waiting game for these extra objectives that are coming up in about 20 seconds apiece.
Yep, looks like we're going to get a soul here, which I have heard the argument that you don't want to fight for this dragon at all. Instead, you want to cycle it to the Elder Dragon. If you're this far behind, getting this one dragon does not really do anything for you. You actually want to just donate them the soul, especially if it's a Cloud Soul, so then you can even have the chance to like flip an Elder Dragon. That might be your only chance. So I would like to see Butler 100% give up this dragon, and we'll see if they can flip for an Elder later.
Yeah, I've even heard some coaches proclaim that at this point, especially with something like Cloud that really doesn't change the game for you, taking this Cloud Soul instead of just leaving it and keeping a pink ward on it is actually dangerous for the reason you just described, because you might flip an Elder later on. But with Baron on the table as well, I think it's okay, and they'll just take that, and with the Soul and the Baron, they'll try and end the game. But if it goes any longer than that, we've already talked about it, thus. I think they might be in big trouble.
Yep, and you'll see that, yeah, Evelynn is now not able to one-shot the people she wants to. Granted, she got very close and she would have one-shot anybody else in the game, but that is spelling towards the direction this game is at least heading. She did not get the one-shot like you probably think she would, so that is now starting to get the anti-Evelynn items, the anti-Evelynn targets are starting to get to the points where she is much less impactful than she was just 10 or so minutes ago.
23 stacks on the Magi's. Death cap completed. That Banshees that you described, those are all key components for her to still be that threat. And she's got a flash available. When that ultimate's back up, I imagine Jinx is going to be clenching those butt cheeks. And wow, a weird rotation there from Tendo means he gets caught out with his flash available. And then that's a great defense, of course, for Butler to hold on to this. They use the ultimate mid to create additional space. Basham has to flash and cleanse away. They've held on for a few extra moments to that inhibitor top lane, but now it falls. And you can see Levi is ready with that Spirit Rush. Exhaust available. We'll see if they can find it. There's the zap. They're going to actually go for it. Super Mega Death Rocket is able to find him, but it's that Evelynn. So strong, flashing forward, gets it. Ultimate was used, and that's going to be 3 quick kills, 4 now. And the only remaining member is Opax, who's been set behind the entire game, trying to defend 1v5, and no chance, no shot here. We're going to take that down. Basham actually takes way too many tower hits. I don't know if that's the smart thing, is to chase for this kill. They will actually get it, swinging around that inhibitor. Nexus will fall shortly thereafter, and it will be this series going to St. John's University.
Yeah, St. John's on the back of Milkyou's Evelynn that game. We had our doubts based on the team comp, but he played that perfectly, showed us exactly why we were wrong in that situation, and showed us a great display performance on Evelynn, and he was actually able to, carry that last fight. He got a huge ultimate that execute hit 2 or 3 people and basically one-shot the whole team.
Yeah, wild to see the Evelynn actually win against that draft, and really well played by Milkyou. Crazy that they were able to find that success, because if that game went any longer than 30 minutes, I think we saw it. Camp one-shot the Hecarim, gonna fall off, not be able to find that backline access as easily as they might hope, and you have to play those mind games around Vision too. It gets harder and harder as the game goes on, gets closer and closer, but Hey, I mean, when you end the game under 30 minutes, excuse me, and you have a 17,000 gold lead, you did something right.
Yep.
Quite a few
Yep.
things right.
Yeah, that it could have. The longer it went, the better it went for Butler. But I'd say that game was all but a smash. So great game from St. John's to take the series 2-1. This is a super important series for them to take for the seeding of the rest of this split. And we'll see if they can beat them in their next matchup. They will. These guys will face again one more time in the regular season before hopefully both heading into playoffs. I loved the series. Like I can't wait to see them fight again.
Yep. Congratulations to St. John's. We are happy to see that game 3 actually happen here. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to interview the 80 carry slash jungle slash support player from St. John's University. It's Basham himself. Don't go anywhere. We'll be speaking with him soon.